News. This is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour: concern for the Great Salt Lake and water is growing in Utah. A new poll from the Deseret News and Hinckley Institute of Politics shows 86% of Utahns now say they're concerned about the Great Salt Lake. That's up 5% in just 2 months. And more than half of those say they're very concerned. The poll also shows more than half of Utahns have cut back on their water use in some form in response to the ongoing drought. A proposed nuclear power plant project in Emery County is being brought back to life. 2 companies are now teaming up to resume working on building a nuclear power plant in the small town of Green River. Proponents faced fierce pushback from the public after they announced the plan initially more than 10 years ago. But now they say they want to use smaller reactors that use much less water. There's no timetable on when they want to have it up and running. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: millions of young adults may face scarce jobs, some of which they could blame on artificial intelligence.
The overall jobless rate may be 4.2%, but that surges to 5.6% for recent college graduates, according to New York Federal Reserve data. Some tech leaders warn that artificial intelligence could wipe out many low-level positions, often taken by recent grads. A Stanford University report last year said workers aged 22 to 25 in positions disrupted by AI, like customer service and software development, suffered a 16% decline in employment compared to experienced employees.
That's ABC's Chuck Sievertson. Your money at this moment: the Dow is just down 14 points, just a fraction. We're at 50,630. Coming up, we've got a heat wave today. Highs up there near 90. We'll check KSL weather next. KSL News Time, 9:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Veterans and active duty service members, when your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Some things in life just aren't easy, like assembling furniture with so-called simple instructions, resetting a password again, parallel parking with people watching, and shopping for insurance. Until now. Introducing Trucordia Go, the smarter, faster, easier way to shop for home and auto insurance. Trucordia Go starts with a conversation powered by smart technology and guided by Trudy, your helpful virtual insurance assistant, learning about your needs and helping you find the right insurance solutions that fit your life while working hard to save you time and money. And it goes beyond quotes for real understanding. Trudy gives you easy to understand answers to complex questions and can even connect you with a real person anytime you want extra guidance. Trucordia Go is simply a better way to shop for insurance. Less confusion, more confident decisions, and chatting with Trudy even makes it a little more fun. Smarter, faster, easier insurance, so you can get back to the things in life you actually enjoy. Visit TruCordiaGo.com today. TruCordia Go. Let's go.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's Cormac Bone.
In Utah County, northbound I-15 just a little slow right after 1600 north, but we got heavier delays on I-15 in Salt Lake County. Both directions of I-15 slow approaching Bangor Highway. The southbound side is residual delays after a crash cleared off the road. Northbound I-15 slow from the south interchange all the way up to 13th South. Those have been residual delays as well due to this crash that's been on the southbound of side of I-15 just after 13th South. And that's caused compounding heavy delays that start all the way back toward North Salt Lake just before the north interchange, where there is a new crash just after the Beck Street exit. And if you get off at Beck Street, expect extreme delays due to that construction. It is down to one lane as you approach Victory Road. If your roof needs repair or replacement, do it now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. Flexible financing options available. Get the best value on the highest quality roofing job. Get a quote today at snsroofingutah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Cloudy and breezy today and hot. The highs will be around 87 degrees. Right now, it's sunny and 70 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio. The Utah Drought. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
So how far would you go to conserve water? There's toilet things you can do. With the ongoing worsening drought and low lake levels at the Great Salt Lake, what would you be willing to give up or do to conserve water?
Well, that's the question at the heart of a new poll by Deseret News Hinckley Institute of Politics, which asks Utahns how concerned they are by the state of the Great Salt Lake and what they're willing to do to fix it.
So the lake actually came up in last night's Democratic primary debate for the new 1st Congressional District, and we're going to have more on that in the next segment.
Yeah, but let's start with the poll and why Utahns are feeling worse and worse about the future of the lake. And one thing that you just pointed out to me a minute ago is they're feeling worse just within the last 90 days.
I know, yeah. Yeah.
Because the same question was asked in March as has been asked in May, which is the level of concern you have about the lake. And people are concerned. They were 81%. Now it's up to 86%.
I know. It's a lot, right? And 51% of those are very concerned. So, look, it's one of the questions I think that we keep talking about and we're going to have to keep talking about as we're in this drought cycle after the no pack on the snow in the mountains. So, interestingly enough, the question I feel like that comes up a lot is we're asking homeowners to carry a lot of this conservation effort, but it doesn't necessarily feel like what we do makes that much difference.
Yeah, and that is not a huge part of the problem anyway. So
that's
you're
what
right.
I'm saying.
Like
yeah.
using less water and not washing your hands as much, or using the.
I tell you what, my boys will do: not flush the toilet as often. That will be their choice.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I know. There's a saying that I won't repeat, but it's something about.
I know. When you flush, no.
Right. So yeah, I mean, we don't do that. You don't like to look at a toilet that hasn't been flushed. Anyway, I mean, there are things you can do. You can make less water in the toilet. You can use different.
Yeah, low flush toilets. Yeah.
Right.
So one of the questions on the poll is that they were asking respondents to weigh in on what Utah leaders have proposed. So 21% said that if you provided incentives for water-efficient landscaping, they thought that would be effective. The very highest number, though, was 36% if you place stricter limits on water usage for large commercial and corporate developments. Because one of the things we see all the time, I think, is we drive around, you may have houses that are, they've got browning lawns and they're watering once or twice a week. But then you have golf courses and big commercial developments, and it feels like they're watering the sidewalk when you drive by.
Oh, yeah, because you look at, my wife and I were talking about that. We drove by an area that had a huge lawn, and she said, they shouldn't have that anymore. Well, across the street was a golf course. Talk about a huge lawn.
Right.
And she's like, well, that's recreation. People are enjoying it. They're paying money, blah, blah, blah. But they're still using a lot of water. And I'm a golfer periodically. I enjoy going out there. I completely understand why they try to keep some areas green. I just wish there was something else that they could do to
artificial turf.
Yeah, put some sort of grass down that is friendly for having less water. But I'm looking at this poll about your level of concern, and the people that don't think that there's a problem is just almost nil. I mean, everybody thinks there's a problem to some level.
Yeah. So there's a couple of other issues that Utah leaders have proposed, imposing restrictions on watering, like watering lawns. 15% of the respondents agreed with that one. Requiring water companies to charge higher rates based on usage, right? The more you use, the more you pay. Only 10% agreed with that. Only 6%, interestingly, agreed with placing stricter limits on agricultural water use. So I thought that was interesting. But then, what do you do? If you are a consumer, 53% say, I'm going to water my lawn less.
Yeah, and that makes a difference. Makes a little bit of a difference. Not a lot, but it does make a difference. And it's something that you can do. It's something that an individual can do. I personally think the one way to make people use less water is to charge them money. When it comes, when it hits your pocketbook.
I think that was one of the things, right, when we're on secondary water down where we live for our backyard, but when the state legislature passed a thing to say we're going to meter secondary water usage. So it certainly makes me aware, right, of how much we're trying to use. And I think just doing the show has helped me be more aware of, the recommendation, we're only supposed to water once a week.
So if you're a Utah legislator right now and you're looking at a poll like this, does it make you think that that's got to be a big issue at the next legislative session? You know what I mean? That this is something that is so, I know that's a long way away, but this has got to be getting the attention of a lot of people, both locally and nationally, that the populace is so concerned about this right now.
I think
the voters.
I think that it has been certainly a topic of discussion. The thing that made it maybe go a little bit less out of what felt like maybe the top priority for the legislature was that really good water year of 2 or 3 years ago, whatever that was, right? Because it felt like, oh, okay, well, we're doing okay, right? And now we're just back to drought. So look, I don't know if this is for you, but 45% of the respondents said they'd wash their car less frequently. I don't know how much water that's going to save. And 42% said they'll take shorter showers. I already take short showers.
Well, I mean, but little things, I guess that people can do. I think one thing that I notice our local water authority notices if you have a leak, if there's something in your system that's leaking, man, they'll send you something that goes, hey, your water use last month was high.
Oh, yeah.
And we learned that the hard way. Yeah. We got this bill, like, what's going on? And we learned that we had.
Yeah, we got $1,000 water bill one time.
Right, and we're like, okay.
It was a leaky toilet for us. It was
exactly
just a toilet that ran.
Yeah, we didn't recognize the sound or appreciate it. But we had
never
the
made
thing.
that mistake again.
Right, yeah, it cost us like $300 or $400 once.
So interesting. We do have a texter that says yes, exactly. What about golf courses and what are golf courses and corporations doing to conserve water? And 65% of the usage is farming. I've heard higher numbers than that. Right. So it's just like this poll. I think yes, absolutely. The legislature's paying attention. They really are. It's also the same poll where they were asking about the data center, where a majority of voters are opposed to that. And you also have this idea, again, that the most reliable source of water is wastewater that has been treated and cleaned. That actually is, it's interesting because
not drinkable water,
right? But they're saying flush once for yourself and once for the Great Salt Lake. That's a really interesting approach.
Yeah, no,
right?
I don't think that makes sense either. Oh boy, it's just an issue that I'm glad we're talking about it. I'm glad they did a poll like this. I'm glad people are appreciating it. Let's hope that our leaders will take all of these things into account and do something about the water
I'm sure
situation.
they will.
Because, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Well, coming up on Inside Sources, a battle between a moderate and 3 progressive candidates, all vying to represent Utah's new 1st congressional district from the Democratic side. And one of the things we discussed at last night's debate was the future of the Great Salt Lake. Our thoughts on that when we come back.
Kitchen and bath transformations start with AMC Building Materials. AMC Building Materials is a large kitchen cabinet and countertop supplier serving both wholesale and retail customers. AMC offers factory direct pricing on all interior remodeling materials, giving you exceptional value without sacrificing quality. Most standard items are available for quick payment and pickup right away. AMC Building Materials provides professional service, free design, and free on-site measurements, along with expert installation by top AMC professionals. From bold kitchen designs to beautiful functional bathrooms, AMC delivers outstanding value with styles you'll love. And best of all, most projects can be completed within just 10 days. Come experience beauty you can see, quality you can feel, and service you can trust. Get directions to the new AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West today and schedule your free estimate. Visit amckitchenslc.org. That's amckitchenslc.org.
There's no doubt about it. It's always a great time to shop at NPS, which truly is a nice place to save with their 4 locations, 1 in Orem, we've got 1 in Layton, and 2 in Salt Lake. Anytime you'll save 20 to 70% at NPS. But right now, it's time to get into NPS because Father's Day is just around the corner. The summer months are here. It's time to get those power tools, buy a fire pit, great men's clothing. How about some golf clubs and other sports equipment, things that are fun for the summertime for the kids, even things for your lawn and garden. And then, of course, groceries, great prices, and that's very important right now. Terrific prices on groceries. And then when you're shopping the store, above and beyond the 20 to 70% off, you'll find additional savings. It's time for you to go in and shop for dear old Dad at NPS.
Serenity now! Serenity now!
Are you okay?
Okay. Gas is up. Groceries are up. Everything up, up, up.
Not at Strong Volkswagen.
Strong Volkswagen.
Yeah, purchase any vehicle with a dime. 1 dime down.
What is the deal with dimes?
1 dime down. Plus, oil changes at just $59.95 at Strong Volkswagen.
Just $59.95?
Or lease a new 2026 Jetta S. Just $235 a month. $235.
Fun fact, new Jetta get up to 42 mpg.
Even new all-wheel drive Atlas. Just $432 a month. $432.
And you get a lifetime warranty. Lifetime. But my own mother won't loan me money.
You're not getting the money! It's okay. If you got a job and a dime, you ride, mister.
This is great. I'm back, baby, during Volkswagen Driver Days.
At Strong Volkswagen. For over 70 years, Strong Volkswagen.
Located downtown.
StrongVW.com.
StrongVW.com. For details, call 801-596-2200.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and oh, they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Jane Dawson did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With the money she saved, she got herself a pricey bird feeder with an ultra-high-def camera. Should Jane have just bought a regular bird feeder? Yes. Is it hard for her to admire nature when the camera doubles as the bird's potty? Also, yes. But it's Jane's savings, and if she wants to spend her time watching the digestive habits of the white-breasted nuthatch, we say you go, girl. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, a Democratic primary debate here in Utah gathering more attention than the typical Democratic debates because they actually have a chance of winning. Yeah, 4 candidates are running to represent the new 1st Congressional District here in Utah, which covers, I think, most of the northeast and about 2/3 of Salt Lake County.
And usually, people pay more attention maybe to the Republican primaries in these kinds of elections, but because of redistricting, this new district is likely to go to a Democrat in the general election, which means a lot of people, both here in Utah and nationally, are watching this primary election.
And having participated in debates, myself and you probably as well, they're important because it gives candidates a chance to sort of set themselves apart, give the public an opportunity to hear what they have to say and decide who more closely represents what they think a congressional representative should do.
And I'll just say this about debates. I think it's really, really hard to have policy discussions with 60-second answers, right? It's really hard to do that. But the candidates who were on stage last night are former Congressman Ben McAdams, State Senator Nate Bluen, Tax Attorney Michael Farrell, and Liban Mohammed, who was the party's convention nominee with 51% of the vote, I think.
And I don't know whether you agree with this, but Nate Bluen came out a week or so ago and made it seem as though there was the moderate candidate and the 3 more progressive candidates. Yeah. And that if the 3 could get together and decide who among them was the strongest, that he personally would step aside.
It wasn't even a week ago. It was I think the end of last week, right, where he said, if the polling shows that I'm not in the lead for the 3 progressive candidates, then I'll step aside. They actually mentioned that, a couple of the candidates last night, and just said, basically, we hadn't even had a debate yet. He didn't ask us if we wanted to be involved, right, until after he'd pulled the trigger, basically. So that was interesting. It's interesting to me, too, to see that the news media largely called it feisty. I would say it was pretty tame. Maybe I'm thinking of on the federal level some of the feistiness. There were some pointed remarks, but I didn't think it was super hostile.
Did you feel like anyone that they were ganging up on Ben McAdams?
Oh yeah,
he's clearly the front runner, and so
and so usually, like you shoot at the king, so you aim your arrows at him, and he kept getting additional rebuttal time because they would call him out by name. If you mention him by name, then that person got a chance to rebut, and he was the one I think that got called out the most often.
It seemed like they agreed on a lot of things, that there wasn't much disagreement on, but there were a few issues that I thought it was interesting, their take on the national debt, that 2 of them said we need to have a balanced budget, we need to do this, and 2 of them said it's not that important. We end up just
or that there's other things,
right? Yeah, there's other things that are more important.
Yeah. So there were some tense moments, right, between State Senator Nate Bluen and Liban Mohammed. Certainly Liban had some very pointed remarks, but this is a question about the cost of health care. It went into personal attacks, and the conversation went to data centers coming to the state of Utah.
We spend more money on healthcare than any nation on earth in the history of humanity, yet we are the only wealthy nation that does not guarantee coverage. It is clear it's not the resources at hand that's the issue, it's how those resources are being allocated. With a single-payer system, such as Medicare for All, we could provide full coverage for everyone, increasing the quality of care with the kicker lowering overall costs. It's a no-brainer solution, and the only reason it does not occur is because of the unlimited money that is allowed to be spent in politics because of Citizens United, Buckley, Speech Now, and how that owns politicians like Ben McAdams or performative folks like Nate Bluin, who says the right things but has never passed a bill in the history of his tenure of the entire legislature. Actually, statistically, the most ineffective person since Utah has existed. What it calls for is a new generation of leadership that understands that we can have health care for all the 300,000 Utahns.
That's time.
And get it done.
And Mr. Bluin, you were mentioned there. I'm going to give you 30 seconds for a rebuttal.
Thank you. Yeah, during my time in the legislature, I have done everything I can to move the needle. That has meant going up against Republicans and Democrats alike. It's challenging. We see Democrats taking money from the same pharma companies, the same corporate PACs that Republicans do in Utah, and I have fought against that. I'm having a hard time understanding how folks who are watching this debate will trust someone like Liban Mohammed, who has actually worked in the past for the same lobbying firm that is pushing Kevin O'Leary's data center into our backyard.
That's time. Mr. Mohammed, he did mention that, working for the firm that is supporting the data center. Do you have a response to that?
That's false. But I will say this, I worked in tech. I quit big tech. He performs for big tech. He's owned by big tech. I know big tech, and I'm going to do what it takes to hold them accountable. I know what it takes to hold them accountable. I quit for the very purposes of standing up on this stage and calling for prohibitions on data centers in Utah and all other water-stressed areas. I said this from the day I entered this campaign. He just wants a pause, just delaying the issue. A prohibition answers it.
A little bit feisty. I mean, and we heard a lot from Liban Mohammed and attacking Senator Bluin, of all people, and McAdams a little bit, sort of more subtly, and Bluin sort of jumping back into it. But the two of them got into it there, it seemed like.
They did, and if you're jockeying for position for the most progressive, right, then I understand why they're going after each other. So all three of the more progressive candidates, they agreed with the idea of abolishing ICE, but Senator, I knew him as a state senator. Yeah. That was just a slip. Ben McAdams didn't go quite as far. He said ICE needed reform, and there were things that he wanted specifically to have happen with that. And all of them said they would fight the ICE detention center here in Salt Lake.
I think ICE is a topic and an issue that is going to weigh strong with Democrats. It seems like McAdams really is positioning himself as the moderate, and that they're letting him do that.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. In fact, one of the things that Ben said last night is he pointed out the percentage of voters in this district, CD1, that you had 25% registered Democrats, 35% registered Republicans, and then the rest were unaffiliated or part of another party, right? So that was interesting that he pointed that out, and he said, I have to represent everybody.
Right, and wouldn't it be interesting if, in fact, it didn't end up being a Democratic district? I mean, we're all just assuming a Democrat's going to win.
But there is a Republican challenger.
Right,
yeah,
there really is.
So we mentioned the Great Salt Lake, and certainly they all had opinions on that. Ben McAdams talked about the $1 billion that President Trump wants to give to saving the Great Salt Lake.
Saving the Great Salt Lake is an existential question for the people of Utah. It will be my #1 priority. And look, if Zoran can work with Donald Trump, then to save the Great Salt Lake, I can work with him too. We must secure that funding to make sure that we save this lake. This is about the air we breathe. It's about the place that we call home, and we must take actions to do that. So addressing the Great Salt Lake is going to take really an all hands on deck, every solution that we can. It's going to require each and every one of us minimizing our water use, but that won't get us there enough. We have to eradicate invasive species along the Jordan River, the Phragmites and the Russian olives that consume so much water. We can eradicate those and get more water to the lake. We will not save the lake unless we address agricultural uses. So that money can be used for agricultural leases, for reappropriation of agricultural water, and getting really the water that we need to restore this lake to a healthy level.
And all three other candidates agreed that the Great Salt Lake is important. One candidate made kind of a quip about what he thought might really save us, have to do something to do to save the lake.
Yeah, I would happily work with Donald Trump to bring in more funding for the Great Salt Lake. We could call it the Great Trump Lake if he wants to save it. I don't care. The most important thing is saving the lake. If we lose that, Salt Lake City is done. Utah is done. it is an existential crisis. It is a nuclear bomb waiting to happen. To save that, we need an all-hands approach, bringing in more federal funding so we can bring more water into the Great Salt Lake, whether that be from Bear Lake, Lake Powell, it does not matter. We need more water, and we need to cap agricultural use of water. 85% of water used in Utah is agricultural. 15% is home consumption. But we're told that, we have to conserve our water. Yes, we do. But you know who else does? Large alfalfa farmers. We need to put a tax on excessive water consumption by agricultural producers. And we need to ban data centers nationwide. I'm running to represent Utah. We need to ban them nationwide. We cannot be wasting our resources on these things when we're about to lose the Great Salt Lake.
That was candidate Mike Farrell at the debate last night. So, look, we're going to keep talking politics when we come back. The Department of Justice is launching a criminal investigation into the woman who accused the president of sexual assault, and she won in civil court. So this is a weird mixture of criminal and civil issues with a weaponized DOJ coming up next.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour: the largest water provider in Salt Lake County is looking for new ways to encourage people to save water, and it could mean higher costs for those who don't cut back. KSL News Radio's Reagan Edelman has details.
When Salt Lake County entered a Stage 2 drought, Kelly Good, the Director of Community Engagement at Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District, tells me they took precautionary measures to prevent overuse in the form of a surcharge, meaning if a city uses 10% or more water than they're allotted, they could face thousands in fees.
This is due specifically to the winter that wasn't an unprecedented low snowpack, and we would like to acknowledge that because life is better with water.
Good says that if a city does go overuse and faces the fee, it's up to them to decide how it might be paid, but in many cases it could reflect in the utility bills of wasteful users. But she emphasized that this is not a punishment, and the cities get monthly reports so they can stay on top of how much they're using. Reagan Edelman, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News: the U.S. and Iran have traded strikes between one another, which is testing an already fragile ceasefire agreement.
Iran is still saying it's not willing to make any concessions on its nuclear program. It knows full well what impact it's having on the world economy, what impact it's having domestically in terms of opinion polls and ratings for President Trump, and the impact on domestic consumers. And it knows, or it certainly thinks, that it can wait out its own economic misery. Now, that's an open question. How long can it endure what is a disastrous economic situation inside Iran?
ABC's Ian Pannell reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down just 3 points. We're at 50,640. Coming up, it's going to be warm and sunny today, but we will get some rain by the weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
I'm Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Wellness starts at home. At Arctic Spas, we have what you need for home wellness. Hot tubs provide physical and mental relaxation, improve circulation, and stimulate better sleep, all while giving the perfect time to connect with loved ones. Swim spas and all-weather pools provide at-home, low-impact exercise, a break from gravity, and family fun. Cold tubs provide muscle recovery, reduce soreness, and provide the best mental boost. Saunas help you recover, detox, and improve your cardiovascular health. This can all be done at your home, ready whenever you are, and you can find it all at Arctic Spas. We are here to help you relax, exercise, and recover. We make it easy for you. You can find out more at ArcticSpasUtah.com or stop by one of our 3 stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Bad driving habits are hard to break, but good driving habits are easy to form, especially when they can lead to a discount on your auto insurance. With Farm Bureau Financial Services, the safer you drive, the more you save. Drivers like you are saving an average of $351 per vehicle. So buckle up, learn more, and find an agent at fbfs.com/save. Individual savings results may vary. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Trying to make sense of the markets? Looking to diversify out of all the craziness? Thinking about tangible assets like precious metals? Listen to The Gold Show with Alan Johnson right here on KSL at 3 p.m. Sunday afternoons. Stay up to date on retirement trends, how the IRA rollover process works, and why investors are turning to physical gold. Alan is a national talk show host with decades of experience in the markets. Tune in for Alan's Insights and The Gold Show this Sunday afternoon at 3.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Receive 4% cash back on cruises at uccu.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
Northbound I-15 a little slow at the point of the mountain just before 146 South. That's due to a crash that is out of traffic and in the left shoulder, but causing a little bit of congestion there as you come into Salt Lake County from Utah County. Southbound I-15 also still a little bit of delays from Warm Springs Road all the way down to 600 North. That is also due to a crash that's just after Beck Street and out of traffic as well and in that right shoulder, but again, still just causing some light congestion coming into Salt Lake County. And if you get off at Beck Street, do expect some heavier delays due to that construction. It is still just one lane as you approach Victory Road. May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and Swin-Your Woseth Dermatology is reminding you to take care of your skin. Visit dwoseth.com and schedule your body scan today. dwoseth.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be breezy. We'll have a few clouds and warm, a high temperature of 87 degrees. Right now it's 72 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
This story just screams DOJ weaponization to me. I'm really concerned about it because we're learning that the U.S. Department of Justice has launched a criminal investigation into E. Jean Carroll, who is the woman who accused Donald Trump of sexual assault and won in civil court a $5 million judgment. There was a whole jury trial and everything.
Yeah, and you mentioned now the sort of the mix between criminal and civil. So what's happened is the Department of Justice is now looking into whether or not the victim in that case, and the jury did decide she was a victim. They awarded her a $5 million judgment, should be investigated for lying, for perjury during the course of that case. Here's what's really troubling to me personally as an attorney is that Trump's attorney one of his attorneys in that civil case is now the head of the Department of Justice. I mean, he's the acting attorney general. Now he's saying, I won't be involved in this case. I'll recuse myself. But he's the person overseeing ultimately at the highest level, overseeing the prosecution. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
It is you got to be kidding me. I mean, at what point I just don't understand this idea that we're going to go after, and by we, I mean the president and his administration, go after people that make the president mad.
Yeah, and it's happened. Some people call that weaponization of the Department of Justice and saying, okay, they're going to be my personal prosecuting attorneys because when a person is victimized, your house is burglarized or whatever, you usually count on the police and the prosecution to go do something about it. But you don't count on you being able to control that entity.
Right.
It's your prosecutor, and you say, okay, I want you to charge this case. Those days are long gone when people had that right to do that. And in fact, really, we never did that in this country.
So there actually were two cases, and I had to be reminded of that. But she had two civil lawsuits, one alleging that he sexually abused her in the mid-1990s. There was a second one where she sued for defamation, right? So the prosecutors, I guess, who were going after Carroll, who's now 82, by the way, is saying that she perjured herself because she said she didn't get help with her legal fees. And then what they're saying is, well, we think you did.
And
it's not
How
it's not even
consequential
going
is
to
that,
the
right?
facts of the case, in my opinion.
Right. Maybe she made her seem more sympathetic or something like that. I mean, so even if a jury found that she misrepresented some fact about that, what are the damages?
How does that have anything to do with defamation or with assault?
Because there has to be some I don't know, something to the perjury that it was important to the case, that it had bearing on the case other than just a fact that wasn't necessarily true.
Well, here's a quote from a news site. Under Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, the department has pushed to speed up Trump's campaign of retribution. Anyway, so it's just disturbing that it feels like these are cases that are decided. I understand the appeals process. This is not that. This is not the appeals process.
Well, and when we saw the indictment on former FBI Director James Comey for posting a photograph of some seashells in the design of 8647, you have to think, as an attorney, and maybe even people who are non-attorneys, what are we doing? And why are we doing this? Why is this something that needs to be done criminally? And there's only one reason, and it's not a good reason that we would do this, and that's this whole weaponization.
Mm-hmm.
We saw other prosecutions that really fell apart, and we've seen very good seasoned prosecutors from some of the U.S. attorneys' offices around the country saying, I want no part of this,
I'm
and
out.
leaving their offices and quitting.
Yep.
And then there's retribution against them.
Yep.
I mean, it's a lose-lose. But, you know, at the end of the day, the prosecution still needs to prevail in front of a jury, and that's the problem you get. A prosecution of a criminal case has a much higher standard than a civil case, which is who's got the better case.
Right.
It's like who's got the much better case if you want to win a prosecution.
I said that E. Jean Carroll got $5 million. She was awarded that in the sexual abuse case judgment, but she got $83 million awarded to her in the defamation case. So the president has appealed to the Supreme Court. Guess how many times they have deferred their decision?
Yeah, probably several.
12 times.
Yeah.
12 times. The most recent was yesterday morning.
And the awkwardness of the whole thing, where he's the sitting president, and he's saying nothing should be able to happen on this case while I'm the president, and the Supreme Court's going, well, you're the president. We don't know what should happen. You know, like and she's not getting any younger, and can't do anything about it. But yeah, I mean, and what are her remedies here? You know what I mean?
so I did have a question about that, and I saw something that said that if she, if they charge her, that you can expect that she'll file a vindictive prosecution motion. So I think I might understand what that is, but just explain. What's that?
Yeah, so you can claim in a prosecution case, if you're being attacked, that the prosecution is based on politics and something other than the fact that you committed a crime. It's a lot easier to file something after you beat the case and it gets thrown out. Then it's called a malicious prosecution. It's a civil suit. You say, I want some money. You violated my rights. Now, prosecutors have a huge cloak of immunity that's called governmental immunity, where, hey, wait a minute, they can't be sued every time they lose a case. But even in a case like this, she can preemptively file a motion to dismiss the case and hope that the judge will look at it and say, you know what, this case looks so bad on its face. Yeah. But it has to be that obvious, Holly. And maybe it is. It seems to be to you and I right now as we're talking here. But a judge would really have to look at it and say, there's no merit to this case. And by doing that, you have to understand that there's an investigation going on and that maybe a grand jury heard it. Of course, we know a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich, so they don't need a high level of proof, but they need something. Yeah. And then it becomes up to a judge to say, do we really want to waste taxpayer dollars on this, or is it a merit? Does the case have merit? And maybe a jury will decide something different and decide that there's something going on here.
So doesn't the DOJ have better things to do than
100,000 better things to do, but than to attack E. Jean Carroll because she sued Donald Trump and may have made a misrepresentation in connection with that? Because if you investigated every criminal or civil case, every witness, let's face it, somebody's made a mistake. Somebody said something that's not necessarily
And
true.
again, I'll go back to what it looks like they're claiming is that she misrepresented whether she had help paying for her legal fees. And even reading the stories about it is that at one point she said no, and then a few weeks later that situation changed. But but she wasn't lying the first time.
Right. Yeah.
I still don't see how that impacts the fundamental facts of each case, right? Whether it was defamation or the sexual assault. So it's just concerning and disturbing. And also, I will just say, you open that door, and once it's open, it's a lot harder to shut.
And as a defense attorney and a former 8-year prosecutor, I just look at this case and say, you articulate it better than I was looking at how troublesome it was. You're saying, don't we have better things to do? And I, the ethics of it and the waste of taxpayer money. This one's a real problem for me. And maybe a judge or maybe the grand jury won't even bind the case over. It's so bad. Well, let's take a pivot here. Immigrants and refugees working alongside Utahns in a goal of providing humanitarian services worldwide. More on a humanitarian center operated by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints coming up after the break.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. Dee and I had the chance at Hale Center Theater to see the opening night of not only My Fair Lady, but Harmony. 2 great presentations right now on 2 amazing stages. I want to talk about My Fair Lady first. I've had the chance to enjoy My Fair Lady, the West End in London and New York on Broadway, and of course the iconic movie. But I have to tell you, I don't think I have ever enjoyed My Fair Lady more than watching it on the stage at Hale Center Theater. Spectacular staging, gifted performances, great music, the voices, incredible, and the costuming. You're going to love My Fair Lady. It's on now at Hale Center Theater. Then there's Harmony, the story of a 6-man German choral comedy group who gained great fame in the late 20s and early 30s, only to be undone by the Nazis. This is a powerful performance. Don't miss it. Get your tickets now. Harmony and My Fair Lady at Hale Center Theater, hct.org for your tickets.
Looking for the ultimate summer staycation? Enter now for your chance to win a family getaway in Utah Valley. One lucky winner will enjoy 2 nights at a hotel with tickets to Imaginaria at Thanksgiving Point and Splash Summit in Provo. Plus, $100 gift cards to Thanksgiving Point, outlets at Traverse Mountain, and a downtown Provo restaurant sponsored by Explore Utah Valley. Head to ksl.com/win to enter now.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Is it time for a gut check? If the recent volatility in the markets had you logging into your accounts, spending hours researching the economy, and tossing and turning all night, then maybe it's time for a change. What's your gut tell you? Does it want you to bury your head in the sand, or to get serious about creating a plan that can help preserve what you've saved? Capital Wealth is here to help you navigate the overwhelming world of retirement accounts. Call the Capital Wealth team today so you don't miss an opportunity to get your questions answered. 801-210-5500. That's 801-210-5500. No one knows when the next market drop will happen, so call Capital Wealth now to get started preserving your hard-earned money. 801-210-5500. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Earn an accredited MBA in as few as 16 months for about $21K at University of Maryland Global Campus. Explore 10 specializations, including finance, HR, cyber technology, and more. Plus, showcase the value of your MBA with a comprehensive learner record and digitally demonstrate in-demand skills and credentials to employers. No application fee if you apply by June 1st. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Shell.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now it's the final days of our Everything's on Sale event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses. Our Memorial Day event ends Monday. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness,
The ridgeline is imposing, the escarpments, the drops.
a place where survival
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain. In 2011, an Australian hiker vanished.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
The mountains have decided to keep him.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Fostering self-reliance while also caring for those in need here and around the world. Those are both missions of a new humanitarian center just opened by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
The church was dedicated. The center was dedicated last night by the church's presiding bishopric and aims to fulfill the commandment from Jesus Christ to love thy neighbor as thyself. So I just have to tell you that I love the way that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has approached humanitarian aid. And we have with us an expert. She's Amy Kobe, Church News reporter, in studio to tell us about this new center.
Yeah, I love the mission, the purpose of all of this. Of course, the church has a mission to love thy neighbor as yourself. And this is one way, just one small way locally that is happening to help migrants mostly, but really anyone who is needing some kind of job training, counseling, some help to get there. So there are kind of two missions that are happening here. One that people here in Utah are probably familiar with is you have Deseret Industries across the state, across the country, and they receive donations constantly. Some of those are just excess that can't be used in their local DIs, and some are things that have been on the shelves for a long time. They're not being sold. And so those donations of clothes and coats and shoes and things like that go to this humanitarian center. They're sorted, they're bundled, and they're made packable, really, in these pallets that go and they ship to areas where they're needed. So if you have a natural disaster in a country or a state, those are able to be shipped out and people have a chance to kind of rebuild and restart. So that's happening. At the same time, we have people here who need job training, who need English learning, who all of that kind of thing. So the mission is those people who are hired to do that sorting and that work. They also put together humanitarian kits, which we're really familiar with. I've done that lots. They put together those kits, but those people are learning English half the time. They're hired, they're recommended a lot of times from organizations around the valley and throughout the state who are working with migrants who have moved into the United States. Maybe they don't have, they're struggling to find a job. They may have received training in their home country where they came from, but that doesn't quite equate to the same experience in the United States. And so they might need a certification or something like that. So they go to the humanitarian center, they receive that training. They also receive, and they're paid for this, English classes. And a lot of these individuals improve their English. They then go on to teach English to others, and they are leaving this with forklift certifications, with phlebotomy certifications, with all sorts of skills that they can apply in our workforce. There's also, they have a cafeteria on site, and they're receiving culinary training. And so depending on your interest and your maybe previous skill level, you can get those food handlers permits and real work experience here in a safe place where the goal is to get you really independent and self-reliant.
Okay, so tell us, and I think you answered this toward the end as you were speaking there, Amy. The Humanitarian Center. At first, I thought, well, it's a concept, but it's a building. It's a facility.
Building.
It's a place where people go to learn to do what you're talking about here, right?
Yes.
It's a new facility, though,
It's
right?
a new facility. So there was one of these. It first started back in 1991, where we had the donations to DIs, and the church said, we've got too much. We should be giving this out to the world and helping build a humanitarian effort with these clothes and donations. And so it started there, but the building was a little bit damaged. It was old. It wasn't really made for that. And so this new building is made for that. It's made with classrooms all on the second floor, beautiful classrooms, lockers that are available for each individual to have a space, and really just made it more streamlined, this whole process. So that building was dedicated yesterday, and it's really beautiful. They also have tours available where you can go and learn about all of the projects, the individuals who were helped, and how you can join in. They have times you can go and help quilt, and they have individuals that show up and they quilt pretty much nonstop. They're making blankets for people around the world in need.
So I see in an article that you wrote, actually, about the First Presidency visiting, that in 2025, almost 2,000 people were trained through DI and the Humanitarian Center. And I just have to tell you, my son is one of those. He's actually in 2026 was able to transition to a job in retail because of what he got at DI. So he's got some developmental delays and some physical disabilities, and he's been a great recipient of that job training.
Yeah, Ready for Work program is what they call it, and it can help anyone. I mean, whether language is English is your second language, or you have maybe some other challenges with a disability, they work with everyone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter your, what language is your first language. They are just trying to help people regardless of who they are previously. It's just having a potential and a future to build them up and give them some real, options in the future to work.
Yeah.
Is it a place? I'm still trying to figure out the concept. Is it a place where people can go donate time or volunteer time, or is it a place where people are mostly trained to do things, or both?
Here's the
Did
answer.
you say they're
the answer is yes
okay.
to all of them.
All of the above.
All of the above, yes. And there is some big space. So if there's a group activity where you put together maybe a cleaning kit.
That's
There's a lot of hurricanes around that they need a lot of cleaning supplies and chainsaws and things. And so gathering and preparing those items also can happen there, and they have the space then for a large group activity where you don't have to rent, a space and then pay for that. It's available there, and so they have that flexibility now with this new building. So I love the question because it's so fun to say the answer is yes. To all of it.
So it could be a project for groups.
Yeah.
What a great idea.
So I love that there's space set aside for people who don't have the same religious background.
Yes, and often, I mean, the majority of people who I saw yesterday there are wearing hijabs. The women, they are not practicing Latter-day Saints, and that does not matter at all. That is, they're seeing an influx of individuals from the Middle East who have come, and they need English learning, they need job training, they need some certificates, and they're receiving that there. A lot of them recommended from friends and family, and there are spaces for them to pray. There are spaces for the women to wash separately and follow their own religious traditions and cultures. They're in that space. And so it's not a come here, join our church kind of thing. It's a come here, let us help you, and you can then continue your own faith tradition out in our society, out in our world. And also there are some civics classes and some things like that if there's some interest, and to help people really to feel comfortable in an American society and have, be empowered to live here where things are different, right?
Amy, we've got about a minute left, but it was dedicated last night. If people want to go see the facility and walk through it, is that something that's available?
Absolutely. They're doing tours. They're inviting people to come and learn more. It's a great tour. I did it yesterday. I really enjoyed it. And
where is it?
It's south of Redwood Road, about 1700 South. And it's just across the street from the old building. If you knew where that was,
west of Redwood Road.
West of Redwood. Thank you.
Yeah, right.
West of Redwood Road.
That's hard to say, by the way.
It's so hard to say.
Right.
Thank you. And there is a number on the church website. If you just look that up to call and make that tour.
I know exactly where it is.
Thank you so much for joining us, Amy. I really appreciate it. So, really exciting opportunities. Next on Inside Sources. We're going to have a special hour celebrating Utah's high school graduates, many of whom are right in the middle of graduation season. We'll have messages from leaders and graduates themselves coming up next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, a fire broke out at the Crown Burger in Sandy this morning. Sandy Fire Chief Ryan McConaughey tells us the fire was between the kitchen and the roof. He also tells us there is significant smoke damage in the kitchen and lobby areas, and the building will remain closed until renovations can take place. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. If your paycheck felt a little lighter last week, here's why. The Bureau of Economic Analysis says personal income was down in April.
The drop was not dramatic, about 0.1% from month to month. At the same time, personal spending rose by about $114 billion. The major driver of the increase, according to federal data, was the soaring cost of energy, specifically gasoline, which was up nearly 29%.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. The Trump administration has sent $67 million of national park entrance fees to revamp fountains and pools in the National Mall in Washington, D.C. The New York Times reports most of the money is going toward repairs on 9 fountains, and $7 million is going into the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. Critics say the money would be better spent at other national parks in need of repairs. Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 43 points at this hour. We're at 50,687. Coming up, hot and windy again today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
At Cadillac, we believe true luxury isn't just about craftsmanship. It's about innovation. That's why we created a luxury line of electric SUVs, including the best-selling Lyriq, the all-new Optiq, and the Escalade IQ, the first fully electric full-sized SUV. You can travel over 400 miles on a single charge. So come get your dream car and see exactly why driving a Cadillac is like no other driving experience. Visit Jerry Seiner Cadillac and experience the Seiner difference today.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Improve cash flow with a home equity line of credit. And back to you, Cormac.
Roadways have really calmed down after all the crashes we had in the morning drive. It's an accident-free right now all across the Wasatch Front, so it's just regular delays to expect on the 201 freeway, scattered in both directions from 8400 west to 7200 west. Real light there. We also have congestion on 2100 north in Lehigh, especially eastbound. Some scattered delays from Redwood Road all the way over to I-15. The Ute Stampede Rodeo and Extreme Bulls is back. Save the date, July 8th through the 11th. Tickets are going fast. Don't miss out. UteStampedeRodeo.com. UteStampedeRodeo.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We should see a high today of 87, but expect more strong wind gusts. 77 tomorrow and breezy, then a decent chance of rain on Saturday. Right now it's sunny and 73 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I do have to play it again. I just, there you go. It was 51 years ago that I was doing this, but we are right now in the middle of high school graduation season across the state. Tens of thousands of Utah teens are walking across the stage to receive their high school diplomas either last week, this week, or next week. It seems like we're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, and it's a big deal, of course, for a lot of Utahns. It's kind of the demarcation line between childhood and adulthood. So for the next hour or so on Inside Sources here, we're going to celebrate everybody who made it through elementary, middle, and high school, the kids who persevered and are getting ready to take their next step in life.
Yeah, it was a significant event for me, I recall, maybe even more so than graduating from college or law school. High school was just the thing. It's right. It's like, okay, you're done being a kid. Now you got to go grow up and do something. And it's when you have to make decisions, I think, more than any other time of your life is, okay, now what am I going to do?
So one of the things that I hope our listeners will weigh in on is, what one piece of advice would you give to today's high school graduates? You can text us 57500. I'll just say I didn't graduate from high school. So I don't have that memory. I left high school after my junior year and I started college. So I didn't graduate. And I have a funny story about my son.
So you have to explain that a little bit. Do the people here at KSL know that you don't have
a high school diploma? They probably don't know, but I do have a PhD, so it's okay. I think it's okay.
How do you get to point B without crossing point A?
Well, because I did take an equivalency exam, and this would have been 1981 was my last year in high school. I took an equivalency exam.
Okay.
But I also took the ACT, and that got me into college.
Right.
So anyway, I don't have that memory, and so it was important for me to have our kids have that opportunity too, right? So we always played it up, and we go, and some of the kids just watching high school graduations, like some of them did backflips, and I watched a couple of people trip, and I don't remember who those people are. They probably do, but
yeah, right. No, it was an exciting time, and I remember it very well, even though it was, like I say, a long time ago.
A long time ago. Well, we have with us the Superintendent, Molly Hart. She's the Superintendent of the Utah State Board of Education. Thanks for joining us, Superintendent.
Good morning. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're so happy to have you on this really exciting time of year for Utah high school students. And I wonder if you can just start by telling us some of the stats this year about this year's graduating students.
Absolutely. We are we're cooking with our graduation rate in Utah. We do, of course, don't have the numbers for this year yet, but we have been trending up for the last 9 years. In fact, we've gone up 8 out of the last 9 years, which means if you do the math, that included the pandemic. The only time we dropped was 2021, and it only decreased by 0.1%. So we are really doing great. Those students are working hard, the families are working hard, the teachers are working hard, and I'm so proud of our system. Just launching students into their next steps, giving them a firm foundation and opening as many doors as possible for whatever they choose for their future.
Do we still have increasing graduation sizes, not just the rate, but are we graduating more students based on the population growth, or is it staying relatively flat?
Yes. So the drops in population, that school age population, is just starting to hit schools. So those are kindergartners and our younger students. The ones graduating are from a time period when we were seeing increasing rates of students. So last year we graduated just under 50,000 students. So like I said, that is nearly 90%.
That's a lot. 50,000 graduates, right? High school graduates. That's really a lot. As you have an opportunity to kind of lead the state, well, it's not kind of, to lead the state and the Board of Education, what messages, well, let me ask you this first, actually. What are you seeing from these students that makes you optimistic for the future?
Oh my goodness. It's the variety and the creativity in which our students decide what their next steps are. We used to talk about college, being college ready, right? Like that was the thing you needed to do is get ready for college. What college? It didn't really matter, but as we know, most of our students stay in state. We have a high percentage of students that stay in state. But now we've increased the kind of the ideas and understandings of the different options and what those are. It's military, it's going into the workforce, it's continuing your education in a particular training program, or it's college, and it's a traditional 4-year or 5-year, and all of those options are open, and it's a reflection, I believe, of the different options that we've created for schooling in general. We have, and I think that's related to the graduation rate, because there are so many options. There's online options, there's different types of schooling, there's specific schools and charter schools and open enrollment. So there's so many different opportunities and ways to get an education. And that's one of the things that I think makes Utah so special, is that we've figured out a way to be inclusive of different modalities of education, and then creating different opportunities for your next steps, for adulthood, for what your choices are in the future. There's not one right way. And I think that is really, truly something unique and special about Utah is the choices. There are so many different choices.
And Superintendent, let me ask you this in follow-up for what you just said. Are our graduating students being advised and counseled and coached on these options and these choices? And I only say that because 51 years ago when I graduated, I don't recall anyone saying anything other than See you later. Thanks for coming. And maybe I was wrong. Maybe that was before you were born, probably. But it just seemed like maybe these options are being discussed, and if so, that seems like a very good thing.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Our school counselors, and it starts in middle school. Our middle school counselors, our career tech ed staff, it's been embedded in a number of classes. Students take classes in middle school in their required courses. There's a CTE course that they're required to take that does career exploration. And there's a lot of opportunities where, that we used to call them career fairs. Career fairs have taken on a whole new dimension. You'll see things like the STEM Festival, where it's the entire Mountain America Convention Center taken over by students and representatives from different careers. We've got Talent Ready, Utah that works on apprenticeships. And stay tuned for more information on youth apprenticeships. That's something that we're working on with higher ed, and really smoothing the boundaries between K-12 and higher ed. And then higher ed doesn't necessarily look the same to everybody. And they're embracing the tech school side. You don't necessarily, and then there's the Catalyst, which is now renamed Apex Centers that districts are building. You don't have to go to a four-year institution to go straight into the workforce. We can get you well on your way during your K-12 experience. So yes, we're sharing that information through the counseling centers, through the teachers, through the learning experiences as young as 7th grade and 6th grade.
Well, that is wonderful news, and this has to be an exciting time for you, Superintendent. Thank you for joining us this morning. That was Superintendent Molly Hart from the Utah State Board of Education. When we come back, we're going to hear from several graduates and find out what they're doing to what they're experiencing now as they get toward graduation. We also want to hear from you. What advice would you give when we come back?
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Did you know 96% of Americans lose an average of $111,000 in Social Security income? And it's because they claim their benefits at the wrong time. Don't lose $111,000 in Social Security income that's rightfully yours. Learn how you could wring every nickel out of your benefits on Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 102.7.
Is the volatility of the stock market driving you crazy? Is your retirement account sinking, yet you're getting older and you're starting to worry about, will I have enough for retirement? What about the money in the bank? These banks pay nothing these days. How do we get growth to get to retirement account? It's simple. Move into gold and silver. Want to know how to do it? Listen to my show, Striking Gold, with me, Kenny Michaels.
Now on Saturday at 5 p.m.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. A change is coming that will impact every major market and workforce. You might have seen how you can buy empty houses in Japan or Italy for pennies on the dollar. Each of those countries has a diminishing population. Birth rates are less than their death rates. You might think these are anomalies. The country that has the biggest problem is China. A diminishing population means a smaller workforce, smaller tax base, smaller military, a greater number of retirees who need more health care and government services. You might say you're glad that this is not happening in the United States, but it is. Half of all states have declining populations. And if the trend continues in 5 years, we will follow most of the industrial world into less. Learn about how future economic and demographic trends impact businesses with an MBA from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
As part of our special coverage today, we wanted to hear from actual high school graduates, people who are finishing up that phase of life, maybe leaving the nest.
Yeah, so our producer Andy Cupp reached out to several students and chatted with them about their best experiences or best memories of high school.
Here are Alexandra Watt of Highland High School, Jimmy Van Netter of Northridge High School and the Davis Catalyst Center, and Jay De La Fuente of East High School.
From high school itself, it's hard. I did the IB program at Highland, which was really awesome. The coordinator there, Mr. Bracken, did a really good job supporting all the students. And I think Model UN school-wise was pretty fun. We did that a couple times. It's not always my jam, the big crowds and stuff. I don't love too much, but it was really nice, like kind of forcing myself to go a little out of my comfort zone. And it was a good experience. I think Model UN has a lot of learning opportunities that were pretty good.
I get my biggest memory by far is, so the Catalyst does a music festival every single year. And that was by far, like, I got to help plan that and run that. And that was by far like my favorite and like biggest memory that I have from high school of running it the past 2 years. But I like a lot of the smaller memories that maybe come from Northridge is I was a mascot. And so I was at every football game down on the sideline, and I could actually like see the crowd, like the entire crowd, and had the experience of like helping the cheerleaders, like help with school spirit. So like I was down with the cheerleaders doing back handsprings, tucks, and other things down there. And being able to like cheer on the school sports, but as well as like no one actually knowing who I was at the time.
I was always a shy person, so I didn't want to like be the first one to say hi to people or join new things. But as time went on, I figured myself that I need to be myself and go out of my way to do what I love, while also like meeting those people, even though it's kind of scary because I always think like they're mean, but they're not. They were never not. And I met so much new people here in my last year, and I wish if I had a advice to give myself in my 9th grade years, like to try all those new things like from the beginning. And yeah.
Yeah, so what are they planning to do in the near future?
I'm going to study at the University of Utah studying marketing, and I got the opportunity to be in a program called First Ascent Scholars. It's a business program which gives me a full ride over there, helping me academically and also financially. And I get to also be living there for 2 years, so that's incredible. I'm so grateful for them. And I'm also going to continue getting my minor in Spanish because I did that for Bridge. And just try to get more experience out there, travel. I really love to travel, and just try to be the best I can possibly be.
The next 2 years, I'll be serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints up in Bismarck, North Dakota, and sharing the gospel and the joy that it has brought to my life. And then after that, I will come back and I will go to Weber State in their new bachelor's program in audio and recording. And after that, I will go into event management and live production shows.
Going forward after graduation, I am going to go to the University of Utah for a major in mechanical engineering. I'm debating whether or not to maybe minor in physics or do some stuff business related to get a little diploma there. And following that, I'd like to spend maybe sophomore, junior year, I'd like to take a study abroad in probably Spain, because I'm fluent in Spanish from the immersion program at Emerson. And I've been to Spain several times. It's got world-class climbing and it's just beautiful. So I'd love to go there sophomore, junior year. And then I know a couple of companies in the climbing industry that I have some connections to and would love to internship at. And yeah, generally go around. And then, yeah, home backyard of Little Cottonwood, which is actually kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just took a break from bouldering, has some really world-class climbing. And I'm hoping to finish off the hardest thing in Utah sometime this next year.
And finally, as is appropriate at this time of maturation, what advice would you give young students who are entering high school next year?
Get involved. Don't just be in high school. Get involved in different classes. Find the classes that you enjoy and then stick with those, because if you just hate going to school because you hate the classes all the time, then there's no point. And so find the classes that you enjoy. And sometimes that's going to take you a little bit to find those classes. But once you find those classes, stick with them and go with them and continue to dedicate yourself to those classes so that you actually have something that brings you joy in school, so that there's a reason for you to go back every single day.
100%. I think the most important thing for high school, at least, would be being really open to criticism, feedback, and learning. To kind of ask for feedback, like Mr. Bracken, the IB coordinator I mentioned, who's just a really good guy and really supportive of the students. I've gone to him several times and been like, hey, what are my weaknesses as a student? What are my weaknesses as a peer? Kind of what can I do to improve? How can I improve my status as a learner? And then I've really tried to work on applying that. And I think it's helped a lot with my school. I think it's really helped a lot with me as a human in maturing.
My advice would be, don't be afraid to try something you never thought you could do. For me, it was dancing. I always loved dance when I was a little kid. But in high school, there was this dancing program and I just wanted to join, but my heart couldn't. But in 12th grade, I was like, this is my last year. Let me try it out. And I got in. I auditioned and I got in. And I met so much incredible people who love dancing. And just the same thing goes with everything you do. It could be, I want to be a leader at a club, which I did also. I thought I didn't have it in me, but I did. And I tried my best to contribute to it. And also take as many classes as you can get, all those big ones, and take career enrollment classes, because that helps you take out most of your credit in college, so you don't have to take those and also burden yourself with that money over there.
Well, I'll tell you, if that's the future of the kids coming out, we're in great shape. Hopefully that's a representative sample.
So we have advice on our KSL News Radio Facebook page from some people. So Heather says, money can be your friend or your enemy. Learn how to manage it. Jim says, learn a trade. And Crystal says something that is basically my advice. It's okay to not know exactly what you want to do in life. So choose a path, start down it, and pivot until you find your dreams.
And that's a great piece of advice. And also the whole pivot thing. Recognize that whatever your plans are, like the one kid said, I'm going to go on a mission, then I'm going to go to Weber State, then I'm going to get a job doing this. Great. But maybe one of those changes. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think it's good to have plans, but it's also good to recognize you may
and
change.
Be adaptable for sure.
Right.
For sure. I tell my kids, even with their college graduation, but especially high school, You do not need to have it all figured out. And if you think you do, you're wrong. So Josh on Facebook says, as sappy and corny as it may be, read the lyrics to I Hope You Dance by Leanne Womack. It's the best. She says it the best way I know how for
I know that
graduation.
Song. Yeah, it's a cute idea.
It is. What's your best advice? What you just shared? Be willing to pivot?
I think my advice looking back would be advice to myself that I wish I had done things a little differently, and that is enjoy some things before you just jump into the next level. I went straight from high school to college and straight from college to law school. I mean, I graduated when I was 24. It was way too young. I would just say, enjoy some other things. I know it's important to go to college, and I'm not saying take too big of a detour. If it's a church for a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, great idea. Like military, great idea. Peace Corps, something like that. Try something before you jump into the whole education thing.
Yeah. Leslie says online, have fun, do your best, and be kind. Right? That's a good one.
Yeah, that's great advice.
That's a good one. Several that say go into the trades, and I think we heard that from Molly Hart, our superintendent, who said there are lots of options, right? It doesn't have to look the same, and that's what I think is great. And it's one of the things that I see as a mom. I have kids in the trades. I have kids who are entrepreneurs. I have kids who have college degrees, but I have lots of in between too, and it's really fun.
And between the rate of pay that people in the trades are getting now and the rate of debt that some college graduates are suffering from student loans,
That's also
the trades
true.
are something we should be talking about more and more. I'm not saying college is a bad idea. I still think it's the way I would advise my kids to go. But the trades are also incredibly good right now.
Well, when we come back on Inside Sources, we're going to continue celebrating our graduates, including those from non-traditional high school programs. Stay with us for more on Inside Sources.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, a Provo teen will be spending his 16th birthday in a coma at Primary Children's Hospital in Lehigh after taking part in a social media challenge that went wrong. Levi Teement and his friends were trying a couch surfing challenge, where a couch is pulled by a rope behind a car or truck. Levi was on a couch being pulled around a church parking lot when one of the legs broke and it sent him flying.
Doctors and nurses told us that this is the third case they've seen of couch surfing here at Primary Children's.
Levi's mother, Amy, says her son has several serious injuries, including a skull fracture. A man is dead after a crash in Washington County involving a Ford F-450 pickup truck and a Ford Model T. Police say the driver of the Model T was making a U-turn when the much bigger truck hit it and the Model T driver was ejected. His identity has not yet been released. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A Google engineer is accused of using insider information from work to place bets on how often people search topics online. Federal prosecutors say 36-year-old Michelle Spaniolo was making the bets on prediction platform Polymarket.
There are now at least a dozen bills floating through Congress that would crack down on the way prediction markets are allowed to operate. So there is pressure on markets like Kalshi and Polymarket to prove that they actually can control insider trading on their platforms, or else there might be bipartisan agreement to have Congress do it for them.
ABC's Aaron Katersky says Google has placed the employee on leave. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 6 points. At this hour, we're at 50,650. Coming up, more wind today and a high up near 90. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Can we talk about something difficult to discuss? Are you going through a difficult financial time? You have equity in your home, but nobody can help? American Home Loans has created the Bridge Loan Program to use your equity regardless of your credit at this time. The Bridge Loan can be used to pay debts, collections, IRS liens, divorce settlements, or home improvements. Call at 801-262-2221. That's 262-2221. This loan creates a bridge between now and a much brighter future. After COVID, one of their clients had over $85,000 in credit cards. Their scores were too low to borrow on their home. American Home Loans was able to save them $2,000 a month. And after 8 months, they qualified for a conventional loan and lowered their payments. The consultation is free and confidential. Please call them and see what they can do for you. The number is 801-262-2221. It's 262-2221, or go to AmericanHomeLoans.com. AmericanHomeLoans.com. NMLS 245422, Equal Housing Lender.
Who is Farm Bureau Financial Services? At our core, we're relationship builders. We're home and auto bundlers, life insurers, farm and ranch protectors, and retirement planners. We're neighbors, community members, and friends. We're the people you can count on now and for years to come. Find a Farm Bureau agent at fbfs.com/protect. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company.
The Salt Lake Chamber is Utah's voice for business. Okay, that sounds great, but what does it really mean? Well, as Utah's largest and longest-standing business association, they support and champion community prosperity throughout the state. And if you're in business, well, that's a very good thing for you. Be sure to listen to the Chamber's Speaking on Business, weekdays at 7:20, 11:55, and 5:20 p.m. on KSL News Radio.
Support comes from Amazon Business. Free your team from time-consuming procurement tasks. Discover smart business buying, where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes, so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
If you're struggling to hear conversations, TV, or the people you love, now there's an easier, more affordable solution without spending thousands. Audion Hearing makes high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98, with free shipping and dedicated one-on-one support in the comfort of your own home. No doctor's offices, no pressure. Clearer hearing delivered right to your door. Join over 1 million happy customers hearing life more clearly. Visit audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's Cormac Bone.
Right now, no major accidents or delays all across the Wasatch Front. Just light and normal slowdowns to expect. Bangerter Highway, both directions as you approach the 201 freeway. A little bit of congestion. And Pioneer Crossing eastbound as you approach I-15. Some slowdowns to expect there. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll get up to 87 degrees today with some more strong wind gusts, 77 tomorrow. Then a cold front moves in on Saturday, bringing some rain, particularly in the morning. Right now it's sunny and 73 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, among some of the people graduating this season are some non-traditional students, including those who have already had some struggles in life and are working to make their future better.
So this segment, we wanted to talk about those who are graduating within the Utah Division of Juvenile Justice and Youth Services.
Yeah, and so we have with us April Graham, who's the director of the Division of Juvenile Justice and Youth Services. April, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Tell our listeners what the division does to help young people, both in terms of rehabilitation and education, because I know you do those simultaneously.
Yeah, it's not a traditional setting by any means. We house incarcerated young people in facilities. They don't have access to kind of those traditional tools like internet and quiet libraries and other hosts of tools. But they do have some great teachers that really find some bright lights in some of these young people. They do have some smaller classrooms. Fortunately, we do have a small population of incarcerated kids, and they're able to really focus on building some really good stability factors through education, in these young people to hopefully find some success in their future.
So, April, can you tell us what are the educational opportunities for youth who are in the division?
Yes, we have high school, of course. We also provide a lot of other unique opportunities. We have a good partnership with Utah Tech, who provides higher education opportunities for general education, like a certificate, associate's degrees. And we also have one young person who's working on his bachelor's degree currently. We have a welding program through some of the vocational programs like SLIC. And Davis Technical College has some composite programs and other vocational certificates that we're able to access for our young people. And then we've also been partnering with Apprenticeship Utah that's been able to bring some like hands-on experience and some skill sets to some of our kids who maybe aren't interested in like a college path. And they're more hands-on, but they've graduated. So we have to get kind of a little creative in these incarcerated spaces to learn construction and things like that. But we're really committed to making sure that these kids can get some skills. So when they do return to the community, they have some great opportunity to return and be successful.
So what does it look like for the kids who are in these facilities? I call them detention, but they're not just sitting around during the day. They're going to classes. They're going to, maybe they want to learn a trade. They're going to places where they can learn things and get an education. And like you said, maybe even walk out of there with a high school diploma.
Yes. So we have classroom settings that are set up. So they'll move from classroom to classroom. We have teachers that are provided from the local school districts. We have principals that come and ensure that these classrooms are being ran to the school district standards. We have a graduation going on in this building right now that I just walked away from, and that principal was speaking to the students and talking about their transformation in high school. I got to talk to those high school graduates just before this interview and kind of talked about the success or the difference they had from traditional high school to this setting. Knowing that it's different, that they're incarcerated, of course, but they did speak to, just the difference in these teachers in the small classroom and just the more hands-on and individual kind of experience they had with these teachers versus sometimes feeling lost in a big high school.
Well, first of all, thank you for stepping away from graduation. I didn't realize we were creating a conflict. But I wanted to ask you, if you're giving advice to these high school graduates now, what piece of advice or general advice do you and others give to them?
Sometimes we have to step back and ask them how they're feeling through this process. When I talk to these 6 young men that are graduating today, it was really interesting to find out that 5 of these kids were behind in high school before they came to us. 4 of them had parents that never graduated from high school, and they are first-generation high school graduates themselves. One of them was supposed to graduate last year and has a child themselves. And he spoke about how this situation really was important to him, knowing now that he's a father, that he's going to be able to tell his son how important it is to have an education. So I think these are just huge milestones that we have to remember. We all remember high school graduation. That's something that sticks with us. We all remember when we graduated from college, we were able to do that. And this is something that can never be taken away, regardless of where we are.
April, is there something that the division can and does offer these young people as they're moving to the next level? For example, they may still have to serve some time, but are they being counseled about college opportunities, placement, maybe job if they're learning a skill? Some of the things that you've talked about, are they being counseled about that so that they can move to the next level once they get out?
Yes, we're always looking for employers or other job placement opportunities to match skills. So if we, like I can think of like this apprenticeship opportunity, when we have apprenticeship opportunities, when we can place them with employers that will take a chance of letting a young person apprenticeship in a construction opportunity. Being able to get out of an incarcerated setting that is very structured and having a place that they can jump in and have some structure and hit the ground running when they get out of incarceration is so important. We don't want people to get out and feel stagnant and not feel like they're going to get an opportunity to move forward. So we're always trying to work with the community and find employers that are going to help and give these kids opportunities to use some of those skills.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We've been speaking with April Graham, the Director of the Division of Juvenile Justice and Youth Services, and we'll let you get back to graduation and give them our congratulations as well. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
That's refreshing, and that's so good to know. And I hope that I've been involved and visited these facilities because I have to go visit clients once in a while. And you do recognize that unlike the adult, and there are classes for the adults as well, but in juvenile detention facilities, they still need to continue their education.
Yeah.
They still need to work toward a high school degree, and learning trades, getting things like that.
Yeah.
What a great opportunity for.
And I was really impressed by what she said that 4 of their 6 graduates today didn't have parents who graduated from high school. So they're like blazing new trails, which is really powerful.
First generation
high school
graduate. Good for them. Well, and good for the state of Utah and for the division to be doing that. Next up on Inside Sources, we're going to stay with our theme for new graduates and other students, and we're going to ask, what on earth do they plan to do this summer? Let's talk about ways parents can help their kids have a safe and fun summer, which is coming up very soon when we come back.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Is your financial advisor managing your risk or just a spreadsheet? Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. Many financial advisors rely on target date funds, which are one-size-fits-all portfolios that don't know your name, your family, or your goals. And that passive management can leave you dangerously exposed. At Trajan, we look at the whole picture, not just the stocks everyone else buys, but the private market opportunities most advisors ignore. And as fiduciaries, we build a strategy around you, coordinating your investments, tax strategy, and estate into one cohesive plan. Your financial life deserves more than just a generic portfolio. Real planning isn't a stack of statements. It's the confidence of knowing where your income will come from for the next 30 years. Good enough isn't good enough for your family. It's time for a change. Schedule your complimentary consultation today. Call 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Private equity investments require accreditation. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
Join the movie show crew at Advanced Window Products in Salt Lake City on Friday, May 29th from 10 to 1. Get $2,500 off 10 or more windows at the Summer Window Upgrade event.
Progressive's accident response can detect and send help when you need it most, after a major car accident. But other accidents, you're on your own. Like when you accidentally call your wife Mom. When you accidentally say Happy Holidays on someone's birthday. When you accidentally wave at someone you thought was waving at you. We can't help with those accidents, but Progressive's accident response provides peace of mind after major car accidents. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Markdowns for Miles at AutoZone.
Thanks. Is oil marked down?
Save up to $15 when you buy 5 quarts and a filter.
And fuel treatment?
2 for $9 on Lucas.
Brake pads?
Marked down to free.
Free?
Get free Duralast brake pads when you buy 2 Duralast rotors.
That's several markdowns.
For many more miles.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry is the jewelry we never wear. It sits tucked away in a drawer. A ring from a grandmother, a pendant from years gone by. Pieces filled with stories, but not part of your everyday life. Duke's Jewelers believes those pieces deserve more. For over 75 years, Duke's Jewelers has helped families reimagine heirloom jewelry, transforming what once was into something you'll love wearing today and pass down tomorrow. Whether it's resetting a stone, redesigning a ring, or creating something entirely new, Duke's Jewelers will guide you through every step, right there in the store. And if you have jewelry that no longer fits your story, Duke's Jewelers also buys gold, offering a simple, transparent way to turn it into something meaningful again. Bring in what you have and create something you'll never want to take off. Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville, where your story continues.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, emergency. Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son and they're demanding $500,000.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
All in together now, we can make it better, can we do it? We rope it up.
Cause we know how to jump. Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
The new Inside Sources.
So I used to really worry about my kids having boring summers because I don't think kids like to be bored.
Yeah. And so we want to wrap up our conversation about what we're going to do and talk about a fun summer and and what we can do, what we can have our kids do. Because what I see is a lot of kids thinking it's my last summer before I have to grow up. I want to go let my hair down. And they end up taking it a little too far sometimes.
Yeah. So a new campaign has just launched which aims to help parents make sure their kids have a great summer without drinking.
Yeah, seriously. And because that can mess up everything you do. And I have kids that get out and they get in their car and they go drink or they do something like that. And then they think, okay, well, I'm just a kid. It's all going to be better in the fall. I'll go away to college or whatever. No. Nope. Sometimes you don't.
Well, we have with us Susanna Burt. She's the Assistant Director of the Weber Human Services. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
So talk to us about the No Bummer Summer.
So No Bummer Summer is one of the new efforts with Parents Empowered, giving us parents opportunities to bond with our kids and give them good boundaries so that they don't drink. They don't do what Greg was suggesting, that they let their hair down too much. So it's really a great opportunity.
So how is that? How do you go about doing that? I mean, and I guess it's easier for me to tell my kids don't drink, but there are other consequences and things they should know about, right?
Right. So there's lots of things that we want them to learn, but we as parents, the best part we can do, especially if they're a senior in high school or maybe they're a little bit younger, giving some freedom to them while still setting those good boundaries and still having some bonding with them. So one of the things is at first you want to find out, we talk about assessment. and looking to see what kind of a parent you are. And I don't know what you guys are like, but I'm a planner. And the website actually lets us identify what we are as parents. And that helps kind of narrow down what we can do to bond with our kids better, knowing our strengths and weaknesses as a parent, and then knowing how we could respond to the kids' needs, giving them those, hey, let's do something fun, but let's schedule it out. I can't do something so spontaneous because as the three of us are, we're all at work today. So we have to make sure that it's not at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday, but maybe it works to do something right after work or on the weekends.
So I went to the website and took that little quiz, and I'm a Wave Rider parent. Do you want to let our listeners know the different types of parenting styles?
Yeah, so there's Wave Rider, there's Planner, there's Social Butterfly, and I'm trying to remember the other one. There's 4 of them, and I'm trying to remember what it was right off the top. But Wave Rider is that you're kind of chill. That's good to know, Holly, that you kind of go with the flow. I'm a planner. I have to have things scheduled. But the best part about it, I don't know if you looked at it, but you could actually see what, like, hey, here's some things you as a Wave Rider need to know to make sure you're still setting those good boundaries, so that while you maybe go with the flow, we still tell the kids, like, I'm chill, I can do this, but here's still good boundaries. So that's the other really good thing about it.
Where are you looking? I didn't see where the quiz for what kind of a
so
parent you are.
it's summer.
It's been a long time for me.
.parentsempowered.org.
Okay.
So the other thing I liked too is that you have suggestions for things that we can do, right, as parents with our kids.
Yes, I actually did this when we were in the development stages, because I have a 14-year-old. And so I had to sit there and look, what can we do? And because I'm trying to be really good budget-wise, it wasn't all going to Disneyland or Lagoon. It was like, hey, let's bake something new tonight, or let's play a card game. And those were the things. And you can actually filter it by county, which I really liked, because I don't live in Salt Lake, but it allows us, and even our Southern Utah people, to be able to say, here, what can I do that's not really expensive? So, and it's great for people who have, again, work, so they can see what's available after hours and something that makes sense that way. I really liked the options.
It seems like there are also little summer camps. I know in our neighborhood we had sports camp, or one of the local gyms had camps and things like that, and the kids would go, and even sort of all ages, and it was fun because they got to go jump in the pool and play in the tennis courts and take advantage of the gym that we would all use. But it just seemed like there were a lot of opportunities like that, even some that take you away for a while, like horse camp. One of my daughters did. There are a lot of opportunities out there, aren't there?
Yeah, there are opportunities. And what I really want to stress is the whole point of the No Bummer Summer is really for us as parents or caregivers to connect with our kids doing something they want to do. I don't know what you, Greg and Holly, did when you were younger, but my dad would force me to go bird watching. And so help me, a 13-year-old girl did not want to go bird watching at that time. Now, guess what? I'm like, oh, I know what that bird is. Right. But my kid actually likes it. So those are things like we want to make sure we're doing what they want to do. So while the summer camps are great, we want to make sure that we're having those connections too with our kids. So you or Holly or myself become that person that they can talk and ask questions to, or say, hey, my friend is considering drinking. What are your thoughts on that, mom and dad, or mom or stepdad or whoever? Like, those are the things that we want them to do with us, so that they come to us and create that bond. So there's a lot of great things. Like, think of it as like good, better, best. There's a lot of really great things for our kids during the summer. We just want to make sure that we put some guardrails up so that they're not drinking, they're not engaging in things that are going to harm them for the rest of their lives or impact them for the rest of their lives. So that's really what we want to see them do. And the No Bummer Summer really can help a parent with that, figuring that out.
I wonder if you could give us just a little bit of the stats on drinking, underage drinking, and why it's so important not to.
Well, when we talk about it, if you have a kid that starts before the age 15, drinking the age before the 15, then you're about 45% more likely to become dependent or have a serious issue with alcohol. We've been very fortunate in the state of Utah to have really wonderful policy that helps keep our kids safe and reduces the access to alcohol. So we've seen over the last 20 years it go down, but we're seeing some ticks up. So a lot of what we're seeing is actually the younger age, and they're getting it from their parents. So that's the concern. So while we still have a great overall decrease in youth using, we are seeing some changes in youth starting to consume with parent permission. And that's what we really want to change. We really want to see parents set better boundaries so that those kids, our community, all have a really great opportunity to be healthy as adults and be able to be working and engaging and successful.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Susanna. That was Susanna Burt, Assistant Director of Weber Human Services. And I wanted to follow up with something she talked about sort of at the end there that I had just recalled myself. And I'm just saying this to parents out there, hide the liquor, because we would in our neighborhood know that there was a certain house that parents left it out, and that kid always was getting into their liquor. And I'm not saying you just distrust your kids, but boy, if it's a temptation during the summer and the kids are all coming over and running around, just get rid of it. Hide it, or just don't have any around. It's a temptation that kids, they want to know what it's like, or they want to experience it, and it's not a good thing to experience. And like she said, I think it was brilliant. Kids who start drinking before 15 are going to have problems. Yeah, it's going to affect their brain because their brain is more malleable at that time to addiction and things like that.
And 67% of the ones who start before they're 15 also go on to use illicit drugs. Yeah. Right? It starts them down a road I think we just really don't want to go down. So that was really great information. It's the No Bummer Summer. You can find more information at summer.parentsempowered.org. But it's for all ages, right? Whether it's about staying away from alcohol, but what are you going to do with your kids during the summer, creating relationships, bonding? And she said to us, I don't know how it was. Well, we were free range kids, right? My parents go play. I'll see you at dark, right?
When it starts getting darker, you hear the bell, then come home for dinner because a little bit different time.
Yeah, it is. So that was a great conversation, and really appreciate that whole hour. In the next couple of segments, we're going to be talking election security with Utah's Lieutenant Governor, who's joining us in studio. Stay with us when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top story this hour, a Saratoga Springs boy is recovering after nearly drowning in a neighborhood pool. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
First responders were called just before 6 p.m. last night. When they got on scene, they say a 4-year-old boy had been pulled from the water and bystanders had been giving him CPR while they waited for crews to arrive. Fire Chief Kenny Johnson says the boy was not doing well when they transported him, but by the time they got to the hospital, he was recovering. The Utah Recreation and Parks Association has several tips on keeping kids safe around water.
Especially in unlifeguarded pools or waterfronts. Designate an adult to be a water watcher to actively supervise at all times.
They also recommend parents enroll children in swimming lessons and keeping a phone nearby. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
A man is dead after a crash in Washington County. Police say it was between a Ford F-450 pickup truck and a Ford Model T. It was in the afternoon around Rio Virgin Drive and Washington Dam Road. The Model T does not have much protection. While trying to make a U-turn, the truck hit it and the driver of the Model T was ejected from the car. His identity has not been released at this time. The Davis County Search and Rescue Team is remembering a former member who recently passed away on Sunday after a fight with cancer. Jason Chapman served on the rescue team for over 2 decades, and his former crew members hiked to Flag Rock over Farmington as a tribute.
Jason was one of those guys that I trusted very much.
SAR team member Steve Petty says Chapman, who went by Chappie, was well-liked and was very talented at finding people who were lost. Taking a look at your money at this moment, we've got green across the board. The Dow Jones is up 65 points, that's 0.1%. The S&P 500 is up 44 points, that's 0.6%. And the Nasdaq is up 217 points, that's 0.8%. Coming up, we're going to have a little bit of cool before the warm-up. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. Dee and I had the chance at Hale Center Theater to see the opening night of not only My Fair Lady, but Harmony. Two great presentations right now on two amazing stages. I want to talk about My Fair Lady first. I've had the chance to enjoy My Fair Lady, the West End in London and New York on Broadway, and of course the iconic movie. But I have to tell you, I don't think I have ever enjoyed My Fair Lady more than watching it on the stage at Hale Center Theater. Spectacular staging, gifted performances, great music, the voices, incredible, and the costuming. You're going to love My Fair Lady. It's on now at Hale Center Theater. Then there's Harmony, the story of a six-man German choral comedy group who gained great fame in the late 20s and early 30s, only to be undone by the Nazis. This is a powerful performance. Don't miss it. Get your tickets now. Harmony and My Fair Lady at Hale Center Theater, hct.org for your tickets.
This summer, Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater is back. We're celebrating the 250th anniversary of America with a season that sings our nation's history and yours. First, freedom, passion, and unforgettable storytelling with the Tony Award-winning musical 1776. Starring two Michaels, renowned singer Michael Ballum and Metropolitan Opera singer Michael Sokol. Then, Gilbert and Sullivan's silly and swashbuckling, okay, not really, but at least it's a pirate word, The Pirates of Penzance, plus the moving romance of the last 5 years. This year, we're even honoring the legal system with the courtroom duo, Scalia Ginsburg and the lighthearted Trial by Jury. The first is based on the true story of two Supreme Court justices who couldn't agree on anything except for their love of opera. The second is another Gilbert and Sullivan romp that'll leave you laughing. Join world-class singers, a full orchestra, and the magic of live theater in historic downtown Logan. Bonus, Utah teachers and students get free tickets. UtahFestival.org.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Ricky Meese.
You may see some extra volumes of traffic on the Valley freeways, but it's moving along. If you are traveling north or southbound I-15, good speeds between Ogden and Provo, all clear on the rest of your Valley freeways and your main secondaries. If your roof needs repair or replacement, do it now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. Flexible financing options available. Get the best value on the highest quality roofing job. Get a quote today at snsroofingyutah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're looking at a high of 87 today before it drops down to a cooler 77 on Friday, before hitting a high of 71 on Saturday with a 60% chance of rain. Right now, though, it's 79 degrees in Fair downtown. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, the primary election here in Utah is less than a month away now, Holly, and a new report released by the Lieutenant Governor's office sheds some light on voter rolls, and maybe Sue's not supposed to be on there.
Okay, so an audit of more than 2 million registered voters in Utah found 27 confirmed and 25 likely non-citizens on their voter rolls. So, look, of course, the closer we can get that number to zero, the better. But I think that's actually pretty close to zero.
Yeah, I think it's really, really good. And it certainly doesn't show any sort of widespread fraud.
Well, we have the expert in the room with us. So we have the Lieutenant Governor. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Deidre Henderson.
Good morning. Great to be here with both of you.
Okay, so just based on your findings, so I know that we talked earlier this year about you finding one, but there was ongoing auditing. Can you just explain to us what that looked like?
Yeah, so we did a comprehensive review. So this wasn't an audit where we kind of did a random sample. This was a review of every single person on our voter rolls. That's 2,063,827 registered voters.
Give or take.
And I did an update kind of in the middle in towards the end of January, because there was a lot of there were bills being presented in the legislature, and I knew that the DOJ was probably going to be suing me soon, and we'd been doing this review since last April, a year ago, last April, and I wanted to give an update. So I knew that those numbers would change. A lot of what happened with the remaining 26 confirmed non-citizens that we found, because at the time we'd only found one, was a hand review process. You know, when you kind of filter things down to the nub, it takes a little bit more effort. So we were able to get all of that done, and now we released our full final review.
So how did this audit go about? I mean, you literally looked at every single voter?
Yeah, it was unprecedented. So there was no roadmap or guidebook for this. It wasn't required by law. This is something that we...
Oh, really?
No, this is something that we did voluntarily just because, you know, there's a lot of narrative out there about a whole bunch of ineligible people voting and both federal and state legislation being kind of tossed around these ideas. And I'm a former state legislator. And before I ever changed a law when I was a state legislator, I liked to know what the current law was, what the current situation was, get my arms around the current problem so I could better find solutions. So that's really why we started this in April of 2025. And what we did was we matched our voter registration records first with the driver's license division. Utah has Real ID. So when people got their Real ID years ago, they had to take in their birth certificates or their passports or their social security numbers, their marriage licenses. They did all of that to obtain their Real ID driver's licenses. So the driver's license division has information of whether or not a person is a citizen. So we went through our database, everybody who had a driver's license, we matched them through there. And if we couldn't match them through there, then we took that small subset of 70,000 or so individuals and we put them through the Homeland Security program to check against a bunch of federal databases. And from there, we had to filter it down even more and ended up with about 10,000 voters that had to be hand reviewed, actually, which took an awful lot of time for my staff. But in the end, what we found was that we had 27 people out of those more than 2 million that were confirmed non-citizens, 25 that we believe are probably non-citizens, but they checked the box, yes, I'm a citizen, and attested to it, which is all that's required under federal law to register to vote, and all that's required under the old state law to register to vote. So they had attested that they were, but we don't think they are. In all, if you combine those 52 voters, that represents 1/25 10,000. What? Oh, let's see now. Sorry, represents 25 10,000ths of a percent.
Yeah, it's
25 10,000ths of a percent of our voter rolls are likely or confirmed non-citizens. And then we had this group of 5,007. And that group, these are people who attested that they are citizens, which was what was required by law, but they don't have a driver's license number on there or a social security number. Many of these are legacy voters. They've been on the rolls for decades. They registered to vote long before that sort of information was required by state law to register to vote. And so, or there's some sort of a typo or something. We just don't have the information to be able to confirm their citizenship. So those 5,007 voters are going to get a letter in the mail from my office saying that they need to update their voter registration, prove that they're citizens to their county clerks. And this is because of the new state law that was passed this year. And if they don't do that, then they will be put to a federal-only ballot. They will only be allowed to vote for federal races like Congress instead of state and local races.
That's really interesting. I wonder, did you find any points of commonality with your 27? Like, how did they end up registering to vote as non-citizens?
So actually this review was really useful for us. We discovered a couple of things, that there was a programming issue with online registration, where if a person clicked, yes, I'm a citizen, but their driver's license number it could show that they weren't a citizen, the program still allowed them to continue and finish filling out the application. So when we discovered, and so some of them got through that way. When we discovered that programming issue, we got it corrected immediately. That was, over a year ago. And then but more than half of these voters who were not citizens were actually registered through paper applications. So some of it was human error. Some of them said, no, I'm not a citizen. And then the clerks registered them anyway. So, and when clerks are registering lots and lots of people, sometimes human error occurs. Also, some of them, though, like I mentioned, did say, yes, I'm a citizen. And at the time, state law, that's all that was required. And so, if people are going to lie, there's not a lot that our clerks could do. But moving forward, everybody will be verified as a citizen before they're allowed to be registered.
That's
to
what
vote.
I was going to ask.
Yes.
I mean, 25 out of 2 million is minuscule, but you are going to take some steps to do what you can to eliminate even
Yes.
that happening in the future.
Yeah, and like I said, this was a review of the full registration database, comprised of many years of voters registering, a lot of legal law changes over time. So that's all done now. And what we have to focus on moving forward is just the new registrants and the process of new registrants. And that is very much cleaned up. We've got new processes and guidelines in place for county clerks who actually are the ones responsible for registering people to vote.
You're also alerting your clerks and those that are
Yes.
signing people up to make sure that they get this information.
Absolutely.
So did you find areas where you believe the state can improve?
Oh, yeah. We fixed the online registration issue. So now that driver's license number check is being done on the front end while they register to vote. It's also being done by the clerks on the back end. So that's checked. And then, of course, just putting processes in place. We now are going to require clerks before they process paper applications to actually do those checks through driver's license division. If the driver's license division doesn't have good information or the person registers without a driver's license, then the clerks will put that person's name and information through the Homeland Security program to validate it there.
We've got maybe 30 seconds, but it seems like you did this preemptively. You weren't under the gun by the feds or subject to some lawsuit that required you to do this.
No, when we started doing this back in April of 2025, it was months before I had any idea that the Department of Justice was even going to be asking for our voter rolls with unredacted voter rolls with all of that private personal identifying information of Utah voters.
Great. Can you stick around?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. We have you here, so we're gonna keep you for another segment. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we return, we're gonna talk about mail-in voting with the Lieutenant Governor and some interesting developments on the national level, and we'll ask her about that. That's next on Inside Sources.
Serenity now! Serenity now!
Are you okay?
Okay. Gas is up. Groceries are up. Everything up, up, up.
Not at Strong Volkswagen.
Strong Volkswagen.
Yeah, purchase any vehicle with a dime. One dime down.
What is the deal with dimes?
One dime down. Plus, oil changes at just $59.95 at Strong Volkswagen.
Just $59.95?
Or lease a new 2026 Jetta S. Just $235 a month. $235.
Fun fact, new Jetta get up to 42 mpg.
Even new all-wheel drive Atlas. Just $432 a month. $432.
And you get a lifetime warranty. Lifetime. But my own mother won't loan me money.
You're not getting the money! It's okay. If you got a job and a dime, you ride, mister.
This is great. I'm back, baby, during Volkswagen Driver Days.
At Strong Volkswagen. For over 70 years, Strong Volkswagen.
Located downtown.
StrongVW.com.
StrongVW.com. For details, call 801-596-2200.
Breaking news here on KSL. The U.S. and Iran have reportedly agreed on a ceasefire deal pending the approval of President Trump. The memorandum of understanding would extend a ceasefire by 60 days despite recently renewed mutual attacks in the region. We'll have more details as they become available. Cameron Elliott, KSL News Radio.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to the Xfinity Summer Savings Event, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 15th, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included, no strings, no commitments. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account taxes and fees extra after 12 months. Regular rates apply to mobile. Select Xfinity. Internet required speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. $50 a month for 5 years. No commitments. Go to Xfinity.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Will?
When I was 50, my whole life fell apart. I lost my job, I lost my wife, I lost the house, I lost pretty much everything except for my life. When the IRS came calling, I just didn't have it in me. I felt like Wile E. Coyote, just waiting for that IRS anvil to drop.
Then Will found Tax Relief Advocates.
I heard their advertisement on the radio, I wrote down the number, and I made the call that changed everything. The IRS gave me a bill for $40,000. Tax Relief Advocates got that down to $3,200. I've paid 9 cents on the dollar. Now that's a great deal in anybody's book.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Will did and call TRA for a consultation.
But for me, the real win is I got my life back.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-488-2578. 800-488-2578. That's 800-488-2578.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
911, tell me exactly what happened. My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
and you want to think about it for a couple of days?
The podcast, Cold, has gone deep on these kinds of stories.
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
Clearly, something happened on that couch because he cleaned it.
Find and follow Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
Inside Sources.
So before we switch topics still on election security, I wanted to ask the Lieutenant Governor a little bit more detail about these findings. Of the 27 people that were confirmed non-citizens out of more than 2 million, what countries were they coming from? Did they vote in these elections? What did you find?
Well, so what we really wanted to make sure that we got as much granular detail without giving away personal identifying information, so there's no names or anything. And all of this detail is in our report that's on my website, lt.governor at lt.governor@utah.gov. .utah.gov. I don't even know my own websites. Anyway, Google me. It's on my website. And so out of the 27, 13 actually did vote in various elections between 2019 and 2024. I think the very most number that voted in any election was 8, and that was in 2020. So, not huge numbers. Of course, the goal is zero, right? That's obviously the goal. But this is a pretty good indication that things are going pretty well, and we've tightened them up even further.
Were there anybody or any dead people voting? Did you look at that?
Well, we didn't catch any dead people voting, no. But it's interesting because we have the country of origin too for some of these. Not all of them do we have that, but a lot of them. And this is going to be interesting information for some people. Maybe we've got a lot of them were Europeans, and so that's information. If people want to take a deep dive, we try to be very transparent, give as much information as possible, just to make sure that people who are curious could find out. People have a right to know this stuff, and we try to provide as much of that information as possible.
I want to follow up with something that Holly just mentioned because we haven't really been talking about people who passed away. But do the county clerks get notice of that, and then they go into their voting list and remove those names?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, here's the thing. A voter registration list is never 100% accurate at any given moment because people are constantly moving and dying. But county clerks they are required to do weekly and monthly updates. So they get those lists of people who've died or who have moved, and they remove those on a regular basis. We are prohibited by federal law from removing anybody within 90 days of an election. So that is, you can't
if they die in that window.
Well, I think if you have evidence that they die, you can remove them. But like we don't do those voter roll list maintenance procedures within 90 days because you don't want people to be inappropriately purged from a voting list right before an election. So that's a federal law.
So one of the things that's interesting, of course, with the ongoing conversation, both with our state but nationally, is voting by mail. I do have to say I saw something this week that Texas has allowed for astronauts to vote from space.
Wow.
They have a provision, right? And there's something like they literally put their place of residence as like the space station or something. Yeah. And we don't have that in Utah. I don't think.
Talk about mail-in ballots.
Mail-in ballots. But here's the thing. So we know that the president earlier this year signed an executive order that said we want a federal voter list. We want to limit mail-in voting. We want to put the post office in charge of this massive database. Well, there was a ruling this morning that a federal judge said he's not going to block the president's orders to this executive order. But I thought the reasoning was interesting.
Yeah, the reasoning is sort of because we're not really doing it yet. It hasn't really started affecting people yet. It hasn't been implemented, and so we don't have the
plaintiffs didn't have standing because the issue wasn't ripe.
Right,
because it hadn't happened yet. Right.
Yes.
Right. So there's no immediate impact on the midterms that as far as like the news stories that I've seen. But I find it really interesting that ruling came down, and then I'm sure it's coincidental. It probably wasn't coordinated, but there are postal workers who are doing a concerted effort to let people know that voting by mail is safe.
That's great. I'm really happy to hear that, and they should be doing that, and they should be doing everything they can to make sure that they're getting ballots delivered on time, they're getting mail delivered on time, that people have confidence in our postal service. That's really important, and I'm kudos to them.
What should our listeners know? Because I think, in large part because of people like you, that our mail-in voting system here in Utah is incredible and very accurate and very fair. But what should people know? Because they're hearing this national conversation about, it's fraught with fraud. Really, what information do you give voters to give them some solace that we're probably doing okay?
I think the main thing that voters need to remember is that ultimately they are in charge of themselves.
Right.
They are responsible for their own ballot and for the method with which they vote. Now, in Utah, we are all of the above state when it comes to voting methods. You can vote in person on Election Day if you would like. You can vote in person early if you would like. You can vote by mail if you would like, actually putting it in a mailbox and mailing it through the Postal Service, or you can put your ballot in a secure drop box that is monitored 24/7 by video surveillance. That is entirely up to the voter. The change this year that voters really need to remember is that, it was actually a change last year, and they're going to feel it this year. If they don't, we used to be a postmark state. So the ballot, if you put it in the mail, had to be postmarked the day before the election. And now the postmark doesn't matter. It has to be in hand, in your clerk's hand, by close of polls. That, I think, voters need to be very careful about. I don't love that because that means that a lot of it's out of the control of the voter. So if you're going to actually put it in the mailbox, you need to do it early. But you can also sign up to get notifications so you know when your clerk has received your ballot and when it has been counted. That is part of this personal responsibility piece where voters have control over their own ballot. And instead of worrying about everybody else's ballots, they really need to just focus on their own.
So I've signed up for that, and I think it's just really useful to say, okay, we received your ballot, and then a couple of days later, usually it's, okay, we've counted your ballot. So that has been helpful just as a voter. So back to these ads, it's part of the American Postal Workers Union. They're running TV ads, and it's going to be in Utah. I'm sure it'll be elsewhere as well. But the commercial ends with the message, vote by mail, keep it, protect it, expand it. So they want to point out that voting by mail has been used since the Civil War.
Yes, it has. It absolutely has. And I think that surprises a lot of people. Vote by mail has been in place in Utah for a dozen or more years. It was asked for by rural counties, actually. It was the rural counties that wanted it because we've got really big counties, and there are sometimes really hard for people to get to a vote center. And so we allowed counties to opt in. Until eventually, by 2020, all 29 counties had opted in, and now that's the law. They do have to provide options for in-person voting too, though, for people who want to.
So it's my understanding too that when we went to a vote by mail state, that we really increased voter turnout in the primaries and the generals.
Yes.
And I think that's a good thing.
I think it's a great thing. I think we have really long ballots. It's not like you have one or two races on a ballot. You've got races, you've got initiatives, you've got constitutional amendments, you've got judicial retention races. You've got all of these things on a ballot, maybe sometimes a couple dozen questions on a ballot. That's a lot to do really quickly while you've got a big line of people waiting behind you. So doing it at home where you can look at the issues and really be methodical and intentional about how you're voting, I think is a really healthy thing, and most people love it.
You mentioned earlier that I think you used the word all of the above state. You can vote day of in person. You can vote a little bit early in person, or you can do mail-in. Does that apply also to the primary elections?
Yes.
Are there places you can vote early?
Yes.
But it's not the typical place that you would normally vote.
It just depends on the county.
Okay.
So the counties, actually, I don't run elections.
Right.
My office counts 0 ballots. We don't verify signatures. We don't do any of that stuff. That is all done by the counties. So every county does things a little bit differently, and people will need to go to their county websites to find out what that information is, or they can go to vote.utah.gov, my official website, and find out what their county is up to through that website.
So the primary election is June 23rd. When do ballots start hitting mailboxes?
I knew you were going to ask me this, and it's soon.
Next week.
It's next week. I don't remember the exact date. Probably the 2nd or 3rd?
If it's Tuesday?
Yeah.
That would be the 2nd.
2nd.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Okay.
Yep. Watch for them.
Thanks for joining us, Lieutenant Governor. That was Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson. When we come back, do you want more money or more time with your kids? Is there a way to have both? Text us your thoughts, 57500. More money for your kids, more time with your kids. We're going to talk about what a new survey found when we come back after the break.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top national story this hour. Breaking news, the U.S. and Iran have reportedly agreed on the terms of a ceasefire deal pending the approval of President Trump. The memorandum of understanding would extend a ceasefire by 60 days, allowing the two countries to continue with further negotiations over the subject of nuclear enrichment that may eventually end the war entirely. According to Axios, U.S. officials say the terms of the deal were mostly agreed upon, but the senior leadership of both countries still needed approval. We'll have more details for you as they come available. Other national stories KSL is following. Filings for unemployment benefits continued to creep upwards last week. ABC's Jim Ryan says the latest stats from the Labor Department do have some bright spots.
About 215,000 claims for state jobless benefits were filed in the week leading up to May 23rd. That's 5,000 more than the previous week and slightly above analysts' expectations. On the upside, the number of initial filings and continuing claims are well below last year's level, suggesting a low number of layoffs.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow Jones is down 7 points. That's a fraction of a percent. The S&P 500 is up 40 points. That's 0.5%. And the NASDAQ is up 214 points. That's 0.8%. Coming up, Dolly Parton has Manic Monday. We're in for a rainy Saturday. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
What if your weekends weren't dictated by your house? No mowing, no raking, no fixing that thing again. At Ovation Homes, it's not about having a home that owns you, it's about owning your lifestyle. Imagine no yard work, more time to do what you want, when you want, and how you want, with modern conveniences your way. Visit Davis County's best, Ovation Homes. Stop in to see Phase 5 at Sadie's Glen. Homes are selling fast. This is your chance to tour beautifully designed floor plans with the best amenities customized to fit yours truly. Less maintenance, more living, more freedom, and all for you. At Ovation, it's not just a word, it's an expression you'll feel toward your home, because your home should fit your life, not the other way around. For questions or to find out more, visit OvationHomesUtah.com. OvationHomesUtah.com.
We're living through a monetary crime scene, and your IRA or 401k is a key victim. Hi, Dr. Ron Paul here. In 1971, gold was $35 an ounce. After the dollar was cut loose from it, inflation soared. And in just 9 years, gold hit $850. People who diversified into precious metals survived and thrived. Today, we're in a worse position because we face inflation and massive debt. Fortunately, gold is still an option. My trusted friends at Birch Gold Group can help you own gold inside your retirement account. Plus, you pay 0 penalties on the transfer. Start now by getting a free info kit on gold. Text the word SECURE to 989898. We're facing the same monetary chaos as the 70s with significantly more debt. Get your free info kit from Birch Gold. Just text SECURE to the number 989898.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. A change is coming that will impact every major market and workforce. You might have seen how you can buy empty houses in Japan or Italy for pennies on the dollar. Each of those countries has a diminishing population. Birth rates are less than their death rates. You might think these are anomalies. The country that has the biggest problem is China. A diminishing population means a smaller workforce, smaller tax base, smaller military, a greater number of retirees who need more health care and government services. You might say you're glad that this is not happening in the United States, but it is. Half of all states have declining populations. And if the trend continues in 5 years, we will follow most of the industrial world into less. Learn about how future economic and demographic trends impact businesses with an MBA from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Receive 4% cash back on cruises at UCCU.com. Here's Ricky Meese.
All clear and good speeds on your Valley freeways. Downtown drivers, the final cleanup of a crash at 5th South and 8th East. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're going to see a high today of 87, but expect more strong wind gusts, 77 tomorrow and breezy, and then a decent chance of rain Saturday. Right now, though, it is 77 degrees and partly cloudy downtown. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, here's a question we all had to deal with as young parents, and that is, would you rather have more time with your kids, or would you rather have more money to spend on your kids, or is it possible to have both? What do you think?
It might depend on what profession you choose.
Right.
So I would say for me, while we were raising our family, it was time, because we didn't have a ton of money to spend on the kids, but it was time and trying to think about how can we create memories, experiences, etc.
So with me, I feel guilty even having this conversation, because I was always working, thinking we need to take care of them, we need to get the college fund going, and I didn't spend the time I should have. So yes, I think I would like to do that over, but my kids are okay. We did have an interesting piece in the Deseret News today that really emphasizes the conundrum that I didn't deal with well, that parents face: spend time with the kids or put more food on the table.
And I don't think it's really an issue of doing well. It's sometimes an issue of what are the choices in front of me. Like if I need to work 2 jobs just so I can have food on the table, I'm not going to be able to spend that time with the kids, right? And I think that's the issue sometimes that young families are facing. It really is, yes, they want both. They want money, they want time, and sometimes they don't really have that choice. So if our listeners want to weigh in, please feel free to text us what your choice would be or what it was to spend time with the kids or money to spend on the kids. But yeah,
text us at 575.
Oh yeah, I forgot that part. I forgot
just
that part.
text us. But yeah, so a part of it also was to me thinking, food on the table is one thing. We never suffered there, but also a house, buying something, being in a good neighborhood, having a home, having a safe place for the kids to live, making sure that they had, appropriate clothing and other things like that. But those things cost money. And in today's environment, whoa.
Yeah.
You're talking about a $600,000 average house.
I remember a church talk where the speaker said, he said, when he was growing up, his parents, they gave experiences to their kids. And that they had home renovations that needed to happen, but they decided that the kids would remember the experiences more than they would remember the remodeled bathroom. So that really helped inform my decision making, I think, when we were raising kids. But this Deseret News article, it's talking about a study that was just published yesterday that compiled responses from more than 5,400 parents from all 50 states and the District of Columbia. And they looked at parents with young kids, so age 0 to 5. And this study also included a number of families that were below the poverty level. So it was just, first of all, super interesting study, right? Because what they wanted to do is find out, would policies shift if they were more informed by what families say? So they had to go find out what the families had to say.
Right. And in the study, apparently 72% of parents reported wanting more quality time with their kids. That was the top response among all the other options. That's pretty telling.
Yeah. They feel like their parent time is just too short from the start, right? And this is, again, age 0 to 5. So they also asked parents how much parental leave time they took after having a child. The median for women was 10 weeks, and for men it was 2 weeks. And in the report, a majority of both of dads and moms said it's not enough time.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of them, maybe some of them didn't take all the time they could have, but it makes it sound like they all took it and said, but
that's the average, right? Yeah. So then the survey is asking, do they have to choose between money and time, right? So can you support your family on one income? Can you, are there policies behind that? And it was interesting. They said, really, there's not a one-size-fits-all policy solution when it comes to the early years, right? So sometimes we hear childcare. Sometimes we hear, for sure, we need that. Sometimes we hear flexible work schedules. All of those play into that. But parents wanted time with their kids, and they have to be able to feed them too.
And you also have to think about the cost of childcare when you're considering whether or not you're going to go work if you're going to pay for that service, it costs so much money. Some people, it's not worth it for them to work, and then they end up spending more time with their kids almost by default.
Yeah, exactly. And, this doesn't surprise me. But 2/3 of parents, regardless of what income they had or what gender they were, said that more money would be helpful. What impresses me about that is there's 1/3 that don't feel like they need more money. So that's hopeful, I guess.
they may feel, helpful is one word, but needing it is another, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know which word they used exactly. But, money's always helpful, but do you really need it? And at what point are you comfortable enough to go and spend more time with the kids and you made your money for the month?
So one of their conclusions was that parents do need generous paid family and medical leave benefits. They need access to affordable child care, but there wasn't a single solution that hit the 50% mark by any of the respondents, whether that was work, child care, or leave. They agree, in general, we need to move this direction, but it's also parents they're unique. Right? And everybody has a different circumstance. So, I think I have a daughter that works and she's got a 1-year-old. Her solution for childcare is to have her mother-in-law watch the baby.
Which is great if you've got one.
Exactly,
living
right?
close by.
And I've looked at, like, there are some times where people say, oh, we'll just have the grandparents watch the kids. Nationally, only 3% of grandparents do childcare for people in their families. So it's a solution, but it's certainly not the majority solution.
I think if you looked at most of what I guess people might call the industrialized or the more progressive nations, we're behind the curve in terms of family leave.
For sure.
Leave. That we in this country are really focused on working and making money, where other countries are more focused on let's develop a family. Let's,
there's
we have enough wealth already.
Yeah, and some of it is company by company too. So my daughter that has this 1-year-old has very generous leave with her company, and she's planning on having a second baby because the leave has been so generous and supportive. She feels like, but
my office is a small office.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when we have a employee, let's say a paralegal, take months off for...
You can feel it.
She's our only paralegal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we either hire a contract one or something. And so it's one thing to have a big firm or a big office where you can spare an employee or two, but it's tough on small employers. It really is.
Yeah, and it's an interesting discussion, especially this is Maternal Mental Health Month in May. And we just do so poorly in the United States with maternal mental health. And in fact, I just barely published another study. In fact, I included it in my Utah policy newsletter this morning, that if you look at, I think it was postpartum maternal care in the United States, we get an F. The whole country gets an F. We just are not doing that well. Right.
No surprise.
So a lot of the deaths, and we know this is the case in Utah, but it's the case nationwide, the postpartum deaths that occur in the first year after a baby's life, most of them are actually related to mental health.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not surprised at all. Do you remember your first child, and everybody's different, but when you did decide to go back to work, the feeling of putting that child in someone else's care, that was always the part that tore my heart out.
Yeah, and I went back to work at 5 weeks as a nurse with my oldest son. My mom watched the baby for part of it, but I also worked graveyards so that my husband could do he would do the nighttime care, and then I kind of slept and kind of did care. It's very difficult. I'll just say that. And 5 weeks, I thought I was going to die. I thought I was just ripped my heart out. And then my mom said
5 weeks. Yeah, that's a really
and that's
young
all
kid.
I could afford. Right, that was every bit of sick time and vacation time, and then as long as I could go without being paid.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, employers need to. Well, they don't need to do anything.
So
but
what do parents
step it up
want
to the
most?
plate. Right. Yeah.
Time and money.
Right. Time and money. That's
yes,
right.
please.
Hey, well, coming up on Inside Sources, are you feeling? Let's get ready to rumble. I wish I could have that guy's voice. But anyway, the White House lawn is certainly getting ready to rumble. Let's talk about a massive UFC fighting ring that's being built right now. I guess we can have a ballroom there, too, to celebrate the 4th of July when we come back.
Ready for your next vehicle? At Performance Automotive in Bountiful, your new Ford, Toyota, or Honda is here. Built for Utah communities, Canyon weekends, and everything in between. Choose capability with Ford, long-lasting reliability with Toyota, or smooth efficiency with Honda. Backed by friendly experts and financing options that fit your budget. Visit Performance Ford, Performance Toyota, and Performance Honda for your test drive. Browse inventory, check pricing, and schedule your visit at performancebountiful.com. Performance Automotive in Bountiful, driven to be the best.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio, or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Drivers who switch their home and auto with Progressive could save money and time. Other things try to do this, but they really don't. Like the touchscreen at fast food places. It's not like you save time because it takes you longer to use a touchscreen than, I don't know, someone who works there. And another thing, you'd think it would save money because they're not paying a cashier, right? But no, same price. Also, why is there an option to tip? Who am I tipping? Exactly. Anyway, even if you can't save money and time with some things, you could with a Progressive home and auto bundle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states or situations.
Doug.
There's nowhere I wouldn't go to help someone customize and save on car insurance with Liberty Mutual, even if it means sitting front row at a comedy show.
Hey everyone, check out this guy and his bird. What is this, your first date?
Oh, no. We help people customize and save on car insurance with Liberty Mutual together. We're married. Me to a human, him to a bird.
Yeah, the bird looks out of your league anyways.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This is Nate Orchard from Advanced Window Products. When you live in Utah, your windows do a lot more than let the light in. They protect your home from freezing winters, blazing summers, and everything in between. That's why Advanced Window Products builds every window for your local climate. No middleman, no out-of-state delays, just factory direct quality, custom made for your home. Imagine a quieter home, a warmer home, a cooler home. Our high-efficiency vinyl windows are engineered to lower your energy bills and boost your comfort all year round. And installation is done by our own certified in-house crews, never subcontractors. That's why Utah homeowners give us 5-star reviews. Right now, take advantage of our anniversary sale. For a limited time, get $2,500 off when you buy 10 or more windows. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. For 40 years, Advanced Window Products has been the name Utah trusts for custom replacement windows and sliding glass doors. Advanced Window Products, built here, installed here, trusted here. Call 801-850-9100 for that $2,500 off, or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Hale Center Theater has become a cornerstone of Utah's arts community, drawing audiences from across the region and beyond. Known for its scale and impact, the theater continues to connect people through live performances. Co-founder Sally Dietlein joins us with more.
For over 40 years, Hale Center Theater has been dedicated to enriching lives through world-class theater. What began as a small community stage has grown into one of the highest attended professional theaters in the nation, welcoming nearly 700,000 guests each year on 3 stages. Our mission is to create exceptional theater experiences that bring people together. We combine timeless stories with innovative productions and cutting-edge stage technology to create moments that move audiences and strengthen our community. Education and access are central to our work. Each year, Hale Center Theater donates more than 25,000 tickets to local schools and nonprofit organizations, offers half-price youth tickets, and provides free theater experiences to over 14,000 students annually. As a not-for-profit arts organization, Hale Center Theater is grateful for this community's support. Because of its patrons, these stories come to life, uplifting, connecting, and making a difference for good.
Hale Center Theater continues to inspire audiences with exceptional productions while making a meaningful impact in the community. Learn more at hct.org. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
When American troops withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021, thousands of evacuees fled to the U.S. for protection. Many Americans welcomed their new neighbors.
For the last week, the governor tells me his office has been getting calls nonstop with Utahns wanting to help.
When we saw the pictures and the videos coming out of Afghanistan, we prayed to be able to help them.
But then, what happened? Listen to Stranger Becomes Neighbor, wherever you get your podcasts.
An expanded Inside Sources.
Do you remember when the Loveland Living Planet Aquarium bought that giant claw structure? A lot of people said it was kind of an eyesore. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. At first I thought, what are they making? What is this going to be?
I don't know. Anyway, there is something very similar, and it has the same name. It's called the Claw, and they're building it on the south lawn of the White House.
And?
It is coming as part of the big UFC fight that the president's putting on for the country's 250th birthday.
Yeah, Ultimate Fighting Championship. They're going to have a big event there. UFC, they have a different one every year. And it's going to be big. It's not necessarily what you expect for the 250-year anniversary of the country. But
so your legit take, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Like, what do you think about it?
Well,
UFC fighting on the White House lawn.
I guess I don't think it's such a bad thing. I mean, I hope that we're not spending a lot of taxpayer dollars on it. Those things bring in revenue. I mean, they don't do them for free. So, if we're building it, if it's costing millions of dollars, I think it's a bad idea. But if it's for fun, I don't know. America likes that kind of stuff.
It's ugly. It just like this thing is not attractive. It does not add to the ambiance of the White House.
I see
I'll
what you
just
mean.
say
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I think it's a dumb idea. In fact, when I first heard about it, maybe a year ago, I was like, he's got to be kidding. He can't be serious about this.
So we're talking about two different things, and now I agree with you. Building a venue for something like this and spending money is silly. Having the event, whatever.
I still think having it on the White House lawn, I still think it's dumb, but I guess that's not really my jam. But
Well,
look,
we can host UFC events in the new ballroom in the future. That'd
okay,
be really cool.
okay, that would be fair. That would be fair.
I'm kidding.
I know you are.
Okay.
Look, so it's a 52-acre park south of the White House. It's the Ellipse. They're hosting a fan festival, which they expect 75,000 to 100,000 people to attend. They're going to watch the fights for free, but they're also building a 4,000-seat arena right on the White House grounds with the custom overhead lighting structure called the Claw, and it is ugly. I'll just say that.
I remember when we hosted the Olympics here, and you had to have these instant stadiums put up so people could watch. And I remember they were just these big metal benches and bleachers, and it wasn't like some fancy thing with concessions and all that stuff. So I can if it's something simple like that, that's one thing.
So the UFC is expected to spend about $60 million on their production, and they expect that they're going to lose approximately $30 million. But it's the greatest marketing tool of all time.
Yeah, no, yeah, sponsored by the United States of America.
And then they're going to spend $700,000 to fix the grass that they're just damaging.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, and other things.
Yeah, I just am not impressed with that. So, yeah, America 250.
There you go.
All right, so today's fun facts. We're at May 28th, and today is actually it's funny / ironic that today is World Hunger Day, and it's also National Hamburger Day. So
yeah, so as you know, I've been on a diet.
Yes.
So I understand both because I haven't had a hamburger for a while, but I think I'm due today because I'm hungry and I want to enjoy a hamburger today.
Yeah, look, World Hunger Day, there are more than 820 million people living in chronic hunger. And so I know that I'm always appreciative when I am not hungry and I don't have to go hungry.
Yeah,
we have never been food insecure.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all suffered a little bit of that when we went to college and didn't have as
I
much
know,
money as
and
we could have.
I mean, I lived off of ramen and frozen
right.
peas, but just if I really needed it, I could call my mom and she would send me some money.
You're right.
And my kids now come over to my house and they call it shopping. They go shopping in mom's pantry.
They go to the pantry and
that's
poach what
exactly
they need.
right.
Yep,
Yeah, that's exactly right. I even saved grocery bags for them to load
myself,
up.
right? Yes.
That's right. So it's World Hunger Day and also National Hamburger Day. So it's not a bad idea to celebrate National Hamburger Day. Okay, so I've got these facts, but there's a couple of them. They're really sad. So this first one is 1830. U.S. President Andrew Jackson signed the Indian Removal Act. It was a law that led to the forced removal of the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole tribes out of Georgia. And it set the stage for the Cherokee Trail of Tears.
The Trail of Tears, yep.
So I'll just say not all of our history is happy.
Right.
We made mistakes and we've done dumb things, and I think this is one of them.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, but recognizing that is important too. But a dark day in American history.
Yeah, 1830.
No matter how you ever look at it.
So it was on this day in 1937 that Volkswagen, the company, was founded. So just like, what is that, 89 years ago, right? So Volkswagen as a company was founded on this day.
In 1937?
Yep, 1937.
Ah, that's interesting. I would have thought it was long before that. I know that the Volkswagen was sort of the German innovation right before World War II.
Yeah.
And we still see them around.
I still see like a bug, right? A Volkswagen bug is still how I think of
That's
Volkswagen.
how I learned to drive a clutch.
I learned how to drive on a Volkswagen van. Yeah, that was frightening. In 1961, the Appeal for Amnesty launched. It later became the organization that we know as Amnesty International.
Mm-hmm.
So today is also Amnesty International Day. So there's lots of things to celebrate today. It's a really interesting concept, and I included in my newsletter today a quote. And I found this actually on the Amnesty International site. The quote is by somebody. I think it's in American English. I would say Sean. I'm not really sure if you say it a different way. But anyway, he was a volunteer who was detained after providing life-saving assistance to refugees in Greece, he people arrested him. And he said humanitarian work isn't criminal, nor is it heroic. Helping others should just be normal, right? Just be normal. 1961. Okay, and then a couple of deaths. On this day in 2014, Maya Angelou died. And she, of course, was a poet and an author and just had lots and lots of really, I think, powerful things that she said and things that she worked through. And then in 2021, Mark Eaton died. Do you remember him?
Oh, of course, yeah. He played for the Jazz. He was 7'4".
Yeah, he died at age 64, and if I remember, it was a bicycle accident, right? Or
he was
on a bike.
Complications from a bicycling accident.
So,
and I also remember because I knew someone who had built or had been involved in, and it wasn't because of the defective bike, but they had to make a bike for him. You can't just go to
they found
the bike
him.
shop.
They found him lying on the road.
Yeah,
right. And
but that bike was.
It was
huge.
On this day, because he was huge.
It was a huge bicycle.
Yeah. All right, sir. Closing arguments for the day.
Okay, so maybe our producer, if he's back there, can tee up "Don't Worry, Be Happy," because I wanted to say this, and maybe we could lead out with that song. And if we can't get it, we can't. But we're talking about high school graduation and what you might say to people, what you might want the message to be. And I would say this: there's so much going on in the country right now. There's so many reasons for people to feel like, boy, this is a bad time. Do I really want to enter the workplace? Do I really want to start a family? Do I really want to? And it ebbs and flows. But I would say this, this might shock you. I'm optimistic about the future. I'm optimistic about the future of our country, of our world, of our state, of our community. I think that young people getting out of high school right now have a lot to look forward to. I think the job market's going to be good. AI, we had Jay Evenson in the other day who told us AI is taking some jobs away, but it's also going to create some jobs. It's going to be a good thing. So young people should know there's a lot to look forward to. The world is going to be okay. I'm getting a little corny here, but I really feel that way. I think there's so many reasons why people are like, if the sky is falling. It's not. This is America. We're going to survive. We may have a goofy couple bumpy years here, but we're going to be fine. So yeah, we're cutting out a little bit early here, but that's my message for young people.
I appreciate those closing arguments and wish all of our high school graduates well and their families who are sitting through high school graduation. One of the best, I think, was the drive-through graduations during the pandemic. Right. It was like, that was kind of awesome.
And the young kids graduating from high school that are sitting in juvenile detention facilities. Are you kidding me? What a great thing. What a wonderful thing.
I know, to celebrate them. So speaking of education, actually, there's one well-known private university in Utah that might be facing some severe financial troubles. So Utah New News is going to tell you why one college is getting a D grade for financial health. That's it for us on Inside Sources, but New News with Maria Chaleos will be up next. Thanks for listening.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. Good afternoon. KSL News Time is 12 o'clock noon. Utah's noon news starts now.